it because it's McKinley. So there's a lot of a lot of a lot of loops and swirls to it.
I mean, before my signature kind of devolved to where it was, there would literally be one loop in the first name and 2 loops in the last name.
Because I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm going to take a look at this real quick. Sorry.
Yeah, like my name is Andrew Warnock, so you can see where the hard consonants are, and how easy it is, like with the EKG, like the EKG analogy of just like da 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 da, like for most of the letters.
Sorry, when you said your name, it immediately keyed something in my mind. I'm like, where have I heard that name before? I just remember there's a current candidate for Georgian.
Yeah, there's, and no, I can assure you, I am not related to him as far as I know.
I'm surprised you know of him, because you don't live in this state, so I found that interesting.
Yep. For one, I'm white, he's black.
Well, yeah, obviously, but it was just like, where have I heard that name? Oh, right, there's a governor guy, there's a guy trying to become governor or some bullshit like that here in the state named Warnock. That's weird. That's a weird coincidence.
Yep. Believe me, I've actually been asked that a few times by some people that are from the South that came up north to work. And I've kept going, I very much doubt we're related, unless it's very, very, way, way, way back in the day.
Yeah, there was like a weird branch diversion in your family line somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, I think I read that like somewhere that it was like between 3 brothers is eventually where the Warnocks came from, and from there any further Warnocks happened to come from them. So, and that was like in the 1700s, I think. I'd actually have to ask my dad about that one. But yeah, it was way back in the day.
That's right. I grab random dirty shirts that I have sitting off the side as a dustpan. As a feather duster.
It's good enough as a Swiffer thing.
Yeah. Because it's got to go in the laundry anyway, so I might as well get a little bit dirtier. I just haven't taken it to the laundry basket out in the hall yet.
Oh, yeah. Basically, I ended up doing quite a bit of a laundry load yesterday, and good lord, I didn't realize how much I had in my freaking hamper.
Yeah. When you forget 1 or 2 laundry days and you go to do the laundry, you're like, fuck. That's good. I need more. I can always grab them.
So we're right there in Waterdeep. We're about halfway there.
Hours of metal.
Ooh, day in Tallinn. I think I know where Tallinn is. That is in Sweden, I think.
No. Tallinn is in Estonia.
Estonia?
It says Sabaton Cruise. Last I checked, Sweden is a landlocked country. It has no.
Right, I'm remembering Tallinn now. That area always gave me a pain in the ass in Hearts of Iron 4.
It's hilarious that he knows about an area near your country based on a video game. It's almost as funny as Jer learning English from video games. I love that story. Didn't learn it through formal education. No, he learned it by playing video games because he couldn't wait for them to come out in his country. So he ordered them from America and had them imported, so they were in English rather than Swedish. So he had to learn English to play the games.
And people think video games is a waste of time.
Exactly.
Still,
You teach a lot of valuable skills if you let them.
But ironically, just up by the chat last night for movie night, then yeah, he's still cool. Provided I felt sorry because we were watching Freddy's Dead, but whatever.
Alrighty. Let's see. I don't have my Dice of Destiny. I forgot to grab the
As I jab myself with a needle to make sure I don't go back to the hospital.
Yeah, make sure you have all them good drugs. 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I usually hate drugs. Now I have to depend on them to survive life.
Tell me about it.
It really does feel like English is just a bunch of languages wearing a trench coat.
I mean, technically it is. It started out as a dramatic language, and still technically is dramatic. If you know about like language categories like romantic, dramatic, etc., etc., it takes a lot of things from German, French, Spanish, and Old English. At least American English has. The origins of English took from like a lot of German and French and Italian.
So English is the Blizzard Entertainment of languages.
I mean, a lot of languages,
or WWE.
I mean, English is not unique in that. Like, there's a lot of languages throughout the world that took a lot of its origins from like other countries, because most languages started based on the Latin alphabet, with some countries' exceptions, such as Russia. This is not based on Latin; it's based on the Cyrillic alphabet.
Yep,
so their origins are much more different.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So most of the European and North American and South American countries, their languages are all based on the Latin alphabet. So they all came from the same origin. So a lot of them are going to have a lot of similarities, especially as the languages developed independent of each other and then mixed, and then developed independently and then mixed, then developed independently and then mixed.
I would say, remember, language is evolving even now. So
exactly.
Like
anyway, you have been chosen by the Dice of Destiny. Tell us, regale us, if you can remember what happened last time we played, because it's been a little while because we didn't play last time.
Mm-hmm.
Who, me?
No, Kiri.
Oh. Okay, so we got to Waterdeep. We decided we wanted to go to a bar, and well, actually, we wanted to go shopping. Because I actually wanted to get a book on Draconic so that maybe I could actually understand what Lady Corrin was saying. And I managed to convince the captain that I'll share my book with you. Instead, you get a book on Elven instead of 2 books on Draconic. So that was the plan. This is when we were being accompanied by Lady Margot Dumont of Waterdeep, along with Lady Corrin.
Say that name one more time?
Lady Margot Dumont. Didn't she have like a French pronunciation of her name?
Margot Dumont, yes.
Okay, I thought the T's were silent.
You got it right. I thought you pronounced the T in Margot for a moment there. That's why I asked you to say it again. I was like, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, okay, so where was I?
No, you got it right.
Okay, accompanying Lady Margot Dumont to the shopping area along with Lady Corrin. We wanted to get books to learn. Okay. As we got down to the marketplace, shit went down. And we ended up, helping the guard, helping whatnot, helping civilians try to escape, because there were a bunch of these, weird aboleth, landwalker aboleth type thingies, creatures. And, occasionally, every now and again, people were defenestrating themselves out of windows. Eventually, we survived. We managed to survive that. Kick those
fire explosions, mass panic, the usual.
Yep. And
nothing unusual here. It's all perfectly normal.
Yep. Then we decided, let's go back after since we got our stuff. Let's just go to bed. Then we got curious about that one thief, about one sailor, and we decided to have like some impromptu history lesson from Sariel, with her implying that Ice was an idiot for trying to suggest certain questions. And then we decided,
when you ask questions that she can't possibly fucking know, like, she's not a god, she's a mind flayer.
yeah.
She is still technically mortal.
Yep.
They're very smart, but they're not all-knowing.
But yeah, so basically we decided, let's try going back to the scene of the crime, as it were. I shaped into a dog.
That and a lot of your questions were based on wrong assumptions because you misunderstood information that was given to you.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
So basically, went back to the scene of the crime, try to figure it out, like, get an idea of, like, maybe where the sailor went. Couldn't really get a scent there. The guard kicked the dog. So the dog decided to go back into an alley, unshaped, go back to bird form, go to a nearby bar, see if he can get information. The captain went into another alley, found, like, a bloody piece of cloth. Druid went back to dog form, sniffed the bloody cloth, ended up following right towards, like, a sewer entry where Vola, Nezor, and Zeal are. And so then we entered the session as we entered the sewer into the Xanathar's Guild.
Well, I mean, you haven't run into the Xanathar's Guild. You just know that they operate in both Waterdeep and Skullport.
We know they
The
exist.
general assumption being that, like, thieves guilds tend to have their lairs underground in, like, sewers and shit like that, rather than, like, out in the open, because that'd be stupid.
Hey! This is our Xanathar Guild. Would you like to try and sell your illegally?
Yeah, would you like to send your stolen goods here? Come on down to Xanathar's Guild Emporium. Got all your stolen property here.
That sounds like a police sting.
That actually does sound like a police sting. I was about to say, it's like, every time someone shows up, there's just the cop sitting there going, and that's number 4 today. Told you.
And ironically, my first order would be try to fight as low as possible because the state of lower order is literally above us. The last thing we need is cop to run down here and arrest us.
Also, are you getting like a feeling of deja vu from session 2?
Yes, and that's not a good thing because we barely survived session 2.
But because of you gave such a great recap with such great memory, even remembering even small details that I would have expected you to have forgotten by now, you get a 3rd inspiration token on the table.
Yay!
Yay.
Come on,
Yay,
roll 20.
indeed.
Let me open my character sheet. Finally, let me open my character sheet after like 20 seconds.
Delve down.
boy.
Inspiration 3.
Remember, we're doing this to get on the Countess's good side. Maybe we could sneak a small barn here.
You guys are doing this out of your own sheer curiosity.
Well, that as well.
Absolutely, we're curious, and god damn it, if we get encountered, our first instinct is to indicate that I'm a doctor. I saw someone who was injured trying to run away. We trace them here, and I'm a doctor.
And we're just his
doctor.
And we're just his doctors.
I cover story, totally.
It is truthful. That's the thing. I'm not lying.
It's not wrong. But yes, the 6 of you, I had to remember how many people were there. The 6 of you delve down into the bowels of the city.
And once again, I relay my order like, okay, the city of law and order is literally above us. So it's rare for me to say this, given our history, but try not to engage in any combat.
I will point out that defending yourself against random
I said defending ourselves.
Is not
Defending ourselves is one thing, but actually,
nor is like fighting off the random like sewer monster.
yeah.
No,
But actually, like
there could be
engaging in
dangerous
combat,
monsters
like
down here.
being the first to take a swing at the wheel, don't do it.
Great. Question, Captain. If we come across rats, should we assume that they might be like polymorphed rats or actual rats?
I think the feud with us like Breitbart is resolved, but just in case that didn't go down here, net, just be careful.
So if you don't attack me, I don't attack you. Leave me alone, I leave you alone. Got it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Okay. I look into my materials, like my spells component pouch, and see if there's any cheese, because I think there was 1 or 2 spells that required that.
Wait, cheese.
I mean, sure, if you have a spell that needs cheese, I would assume your spell component has it.
Unless it's a druid. Druids have lots of
it needs to
spells.
be like super high end, like fucking cheddar Gouda cheese. It's like fucking 10 gold in cost. I'm pretty sure the spell component pouch will cover that, because that's the mechanics of how it works. Unless it has a gold price tag on it, the spell component pouch is assumed to have it.
As a druid,
Or you replace it with a focus.
I have a lot of spells from various different sources.
But the 6 of you begin to travel through the sewers. The horrific smell of the muck fills your nostrils as you trudge through the just disgusting sewage water down here. Anyone that's wearing any nice clothing is fucking ruined.
Oh no! Overnight we switch back to normal pirates.
God.
Here.
I'm just saying,
Absolutely.
like, whatever clothes you're wearing, I hope you didn't like it, because
It's poof smelling now.
it is filthy and will absolutely need to be either heavily washed or just burned and replaced. As you go through this, because this is a very large city, there's a lot of junk that gets swashed down into the sewers.
I can control water. I will make a washing machine.
Mark off the spell slot if you guys want to stay clean. I'll allow it. How long does control water last?
Let's see here. Control water. That lasts...
Like 10 minutes?
Casting time up to 10 minutes. I can be a friggin' primitive washing machine.
Cool. So for the next 10 minutes of your travel down here, you are relatively kept away from the filthy water. That doesn't stop the things that are non-water based from getting on you, but these are traveler clothes that you're wearing. So this is the kind of clothing that's already gets dirty. Just at the very least, you're not soaking wet with yucky, shitty poo water.
You're not covered in poop water.
No poop water here, because that carries diseases. Dang it.
Can I actually cure disease at this point? Maybe?
Lesser Restoration is the spell you're looking for.
Then yes.
Yes. A lot of people from like older D&D editions forget that Cure Disease is not a spell anymore. It's now under the category of Lesser Restoration, which does disease as well as a lot of other special conditions.
Yeah, that's actually what I was looking for, was cure disease.
Yeah. Yeah, Lesser Restoration is what you're looking for. And then Greater Restoration also can do
like level damage
in certain special circumstances, such as like max HP reduction from like vampire bites or
speaking
some other things. Or like stat damage from like ghost and shit.
Speaking of Greater Restoration, how bad do Vola, Nezor, and Izil look? Like,
with exhaustion, she only has one level because they stayed up all night doing what you guys asked them to do, which is hunt this guy down. So I will point out it requires diamond dust of like 100 gold. So like,
also,
is this one level of exhaustion really required you to burn that much?
Actually, yeah, I can't speak. Quick refresher. Level 1 of exhaustion. Was that like
ability checks?
ability checks. Okay, I thought that was attacks.
Nothing that affects her in any like serious combat. Like it doesn't. Like it's like level 2 reduces your speed. Level 3 gives you disadvantage on attack rolls, and I think saves. I'm not sure on that one. 4, I believe, reduced maximum hit points. 5 dropped your speed to 0, and then 6 you're dead.
Okay, I was mixing up
like
3 and 1.
Fine.
Yeah, I was mixing up 3 and 1.
She's like a fucking. She like pulled an all-nighter. Like it's not like she's gonna drop dead.
Okay, I was just mixing up 3 exhaustion level 1 and 3. I thought that initially it was like affects her attack. Then I realized, oh, it's just ability. Okay, I can ignore that for now. So yeah, no, I'm not casting Greater Restoration right now.
But thankfully, though, you guys avoid getting things like cholera and dysentery. Bastards. I was about to have you guys start rolling con saves, and someone's like, "Control water."
What?
But as you guys begin traveling through this area, you slowly follow the various tracks, because down here in the sewers, the grime and the sludge and the slime leave tracks a little bit better than up on the city streets. So between you and Nezor and Azil, all 3 of you are decent trackers, hunters, or are oriented towards the natural world a little bit better than the rest of your party, are able to easily track this individual, or what you believe this individual's tracks to be. And eventually...
Quick question, like, what exactly is the light situation? Because I actually remembered that it was like... Oh boy, so pitch black.
Yes.
Boom.
But you have the ability to just, like, light a torch.
Okay, I'll light a torch.
Not like there's methane gas down here that's going to explode or something like that. That'd be crazy.
Actually, good idea. I'll take my hooded lantern and I'll just, like, put the hood down so it's like...
You explode! I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But, yeah, like, the nice thing of the hooded lantern is you obviously can get, like, the full bright light effect, or you can, like, put the hood down and it's, like...
yeah, you can easily,
smaller.
like, put the hood up and down.
Yeah,
I believe it's like, if the hood's up, it's like fucking like barely
30.
5 feet, but if it's down, it's like 30.
Yeah, I think like if it's down, it's like 5 bright?
Yeah, hooded lantern, it's 30 feet of bright light, and then another 30 feet of dim light. It lasts for 6 hours. If it's lowered, it's only 5 feet of dim light. So,
yeah. So I have the hooded lantern
pretty
with
useful.
the dim down. So 5 feet of dim light in front of me.
just enough to like not like eat shit into the ground.
Exactly.
Eventually, though, your spell will eventually wear off before the end of what you're going towards. However, you got past more of the inner city muck area, and you're now towards the end of one of the sewer pipes where it runs off into the ocean, where it's a little bit cleaner because there's more water travel runoff. And when you get to the end of the tunnel, you are at like the you're like underneath like the docks somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
At the dock, huh?
Like underneath the docks. It's like the water runs off into the water and shit. Or the sewer drains out into the water. So you're underneath like one of like the side docks somewhere off to the side. And that's where the trail ends, is at the water line.
Ah, crap. This,
Okay.
the trail rust off.
This is not me rolling. This is just me, like, checking the wording.
Oh,
Okay.
Pass Without Trace?
Yeah, I just wanted to, like, get, like, an idea of the exact wording. Because I had a thought.
Okay, what's your thought?
Okay, so since we now have kind of gotten roughly towards the end of the trail, obviously we still want to get an idea of like where it's going. So obviously survival checks from us to like handle the tracking. At the same time, I want us to like not be super noticeable as we're doing this, so we can keep quiet as much as possible.
Let let me make sure that you understand what I explained. You're in like a sewer that has water runoff that drains out. You're at the end of a drainage tunnel. And
So
it goes into the ocean.
So basically, the equivalency
So
of
in theory, the only direction to go from that pipe is into the water. So if the trail ended at the pipe, where do you think he went?
okay, so it's not like the equivalency of like you were following like footprints up to a,
And
like,
not that
a
you
river.
lost the trail, it's the trail ended because you can't leave tracks on water.
Okay, I was
Because
like,
the end of the trail was water.
okay, I was like initially picturing like the equivalency of like you were following tracks, you now come across like a roaring river, and there's on the other side of the river like land there. Maybe you could like
remember
go over
you
there.
said about the docks where our ship is. So
Yeah.
so
Not necessarily
it's
where your
just
ship
strip
is
water.
specifically. It's more like
Unless it's like me, I could actually walk underwater. I think
I
he's
can
even
breathe
paying
it.
for
I
it.
can
Or
breathe under. I can breathe underwater, and I can make us walk on water.
even if unless he has that spell, I think that's the end of. I think unfortunately that's the end of our investigation for now.
Okay. Out of curiosity, as we were going through like the sewer, did we like see any like? I think they're called hobo signs, like for lack of better phrasing, like there's
you're looking for
specific.
like thief signs.
Give me a second. I can actually show you.
You're looking
What
for like weird signs that are like carved into like the walls and shit like that to give messages and whatnot.
yes, something that akin to that.
Do you know Thieves' Camp?
No, but
Then
do I?
you didn't see any of those.
And
Yeah, we're in the middle of the woods.
let me double check if I can.
Druidic. There's druidics. There's hidden druidic signs and messages out in the woods, but you're in the city, so here you find thief signs, which is like the fancy equivalent of like your hobo signs.
But yeah, so okay, like, do I see like markings on the wall, even if I don't know what they mean?
Give me a perception check or an investigation. Well,
What?
I think.
Is better.
Now let's go with
Investigate.
perception. Let's go with perception.
Oh. Okay, perception.
Well, what's your perception bonus? We can use that.
Actually, never mind. My perception is an 8 compared to a 7.
Yeah. So we'll take the 19 then.
Yeah, to be fair, we
You
said
see a few symbols, but you don't really know what they mean.
I would like to mark those down in my journal.
Copy those down for later.
No, because eventually someone should have to have some level of these can't. Maybe he could translate it for us.
I tell you what, I'll give you guys one guess on which member of your crew knows Thieves' Camp without looking at their sheets.
I am going to guess. Obviously, not one of the player characters, but obviously for retainers, I will go with Drusilla.
You got it. Inspiration for you. She's the only one that's technically a rogue.
That makes sense. Wait, isn't Drusilla with us?
Nope, she's not with us.
Oh, that's right.
Drusilla is off doing other stuff.
She's
Right.
doing.
Not at the ship.
Drusilla is doing Drusilla things.
Yeah.
So someone has to stay up at night to ask her to translate because, well, she's also a drow.
You can always ask her later in the evening. Like, she doesn't sleep all day. She only sleep for like 4 hours.
Yeah, she's like,
That's in like the middle of the day when it's like really bright and hot as fuck.
yeah, so she's basically out from like 11 to 3. Like 10 to 2, something like that.
She sleeps sleeps around noon, so 2 hours before an afternoon. So from 10 to 2 o'clock is when all the drow sleep.
All right, I was right in my guess.
So they stay up all afternoon, throughout the evening, all morning, and then around the lunchtime area is when they go to bed. Because most of the drow are up during the night, and they only need to sleep for like 4 hours, so they're up also at the beginning and end of each day.
Alright, so I declare like, okay, so he escaped to the war, but you did write down all the symbols, right? Well,
Of course,
guys.
I wrote down all those symbols I came across because I feel they're probably important and they probably mean something significant. Like, Maybe like this is a symbol of danger, or this is a symbol of safe housing, or something.
It's crazy. Why would you think that?
All right. Well, fortunately, we can't do any.
I don't know, God.
Push anymore, and God forbid if some of our enemies find us down here.
Ezeal, you see Ezeal near the water, and he's like, "I smell blood."
Wait, blood? Where? As I walk towards Ezeal and look at the water.
He's like doing that. Like, he's like searching. He's like, I don't know.
Can you roughly tell which direction the blood is going? Like, is it going that way straight ahead? Going towards the opening?
Is it up, down, left, right?
Below us.
Below us,
Below us.
It's like digging around in like the junk, and in areas where there's not water, he does find a few drops of what looks like blood.
I put my finger into the blood and try and like mix it like right between the fingers. Like rub it
it's very much congealed. It's actually if it wasn't moist in this spot, it would be dry. But it's very much congealed. So it's definitely
all right, so this long old blood, huh?
And while you're looking down there, give me an unarmed perception check, Carrie.
What now?
Give me a perception check, since you're the one next to the blood. 10. You'll notice it.
Oh boy. Uh-oh. That's not good or bad.
No, it's the monster! I'm just kidding. Let's see. I'm gonna have some other people.
Fortunately, since I'm not standing next to blood, perception is shit. No,
and then the way you
so roll it anyway.
Alright, well, let's see what happens.
God, I almost failed that check.
I have 14. Damn it. Well, I tried. Sorry, fellas.
Cool. When Ezeal mentions smelling blood, you notice that Vola and Nezor kind of like look at each other real quick, and then they start like looking. They start doing like a weird search pattern of the water that you guys aren't familiar with. This is a goblin thing because they've had to hunt down bodies before. And eventually one of them spots something wedged up underneath a rock off to the side. Nezor specifically, because he got a 21 in his perception check, goes, there, and points to what looks like a body.
I slowly walk up to my...
just barely in the water.
I slowly
just
walk
below
up
the surface of the water underneath the rock, which is why most of you didn't notice it.
I slowly walk up to a body with my sword in hand.
You walk along the edge of the shore, along where the drainage pipe is.
I walk alongside the captain, and I prepare to take my staff just to poke him.
You poke him. It doesn't react, other than to the jab you give. It does dislodge it out from underneath the rock, and cause it to actually better to the surface. And you see what looks like a human man with a large sailor coat, bandana, beard.
Okay.
Cutlasses.
I don't want two things. One, is this the man we're looking for? And two, is he dead?
Very much so. You see the signs of. You see multiple puncture wounds in his body in what looks like a 3-circle formation in a line, such as from a trident. You also see lots of leakage from his nostrils, his ears, and his mouth, and his eyes.
So it's been long dead, and I'm not. And as powers, we're not willing to go to church to fully resurrect them. So motherfucker, let's investigate the body.
Medicine check. I'd like to try and determine the cause of death specifically. Like, was it the
Besides
spearing
besides
or
the puncher wound,
The cause of death you determine is massive brain hemorrhaging from high sonic frequencies and stabbing. So laceration. Sorry, not stabbing. Exsanguination. So his his brain exploded, and then he was also stabbed multiple times, so he bled out as well.
Okay, so the stab wounds were a bit closer to post-mortem, but it seems that the cause of death was the brain explosion.
Because if you recall, the Scoom wielded tridents, and they also had a word sonic touch attack thing they did.
I'm going to then tell
I think we figured that out found that out the hard way during the fight.
I'm going to look to everybody and say, okay, so this person was killed by a Scoom. Actually, I don't think my Dr. Ice even knows what a Scoom is, at least the wordage. But
I don't recall.
Yeah, but he was killed by this creature that we fought. Okay, keep your heads on a swivel. These things are very sneaky. They're flexible. They're like octopus.
I don't know what you're talking about. We're totally obvious. As it scampers off to the water. I'm just kidding.
Fuck you, Jerry.
and suddenly I wish we brought that.
Okay.
Brought that siren with us. At least it would have helped.
This will sound like an odd question, but as a druid, would I have like a rough understanding of like maybe what would be considered proper burial rites for a sailor, as opposed to like say a farmer or whatnot?
Well, that would depend on the person's culture more than their profession. Typically, humans can have a wide variety of different burial rites, assuming if you care. But across most cultures in the real world, there are three types of burials. There are three different solutions dealing with the dead. There's burial, cremation, and then there's what some cultures refer to as a sky funeral, which is where you literally leave the body out to be fed on by scavengers.
So kind of something akin to like a scaffolding.
Yeah, like the Mongolians did that. They left their dead out out under the open sky for scavengers to consume them.
Okay, so
that's considered a form of
returning back to nature.
Yeah, pretty much. And then of course, some go with cremation, and then some go with burying the dead. Those are like the three basic types of what do we do with our dead bodies?
All right, Dr. Rice, get as much details of the body as possible. And I do not believe I actually have to say this in my profession. First Mike LaFarne, alert the authorities.
You don't have to.
I don't think
I
don't think Jim Pan was with us, actually.
No, he's with you.
He's with
Last I checked.
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as I know, all three of you were.
Yeah.
Yes, you were with us. Okay.
Yep,
I just slightly misremembered. Okay, so in my journal, I'm writing down everything I can about the body. Like, even including, like, do an investigation check?
Yes.
21.
You find... I remember. You find a small signet ring hidden in one of his boots.
Ooh, maybe this is interesting.
Looks like... Stand by.
A signet ring.
On the symbol, or the symbol on this ring looks like that.
Oh, motherfucker.
Captain, isn't that also...
Yeah, I know. Shut up, and and what your call is still on break, so we can't ask him. And I don't know that I don't know main about bullshit about that code. That just used as a last effort to save our own
Well,
my own.
Don't you ever get the occasional weird dreams, like where you're like in like this weird void, and then there's this voice that speaks to you?
No, man, that's just you.
No, that would be
You're the one who
you.
hears weird voices in his dreams.
I was like, no,
I
that
resent
would
that,
be
God.
you.
Wait, who said that?
and Creve is off on his journey, so he's the expert at it.
You know, he's on a journey to go find himself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The journey to find the perfect sleep schedule around a newborn.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I just looked at that kind of God.
Okay,
damn
so
it.
come across the signet ring. I grab and I pocket that ring. I am then still going to put down all the detailed notes I can about like the body, including like like those autopsy reports where like you'll have like the shape, like basic human body marking and anatomy. We'll say, yeah, those things. I'll be doing those.
You record 10 different injuries of punctures, 10 separate punctures, and the brain is very much mush.
By chance, is there any like gray matter on the external, or is it still just pure internal? And I'm just inferring
there's
that
some like cerebral fluid that's leaking out of the orifices on the head.
Yep.
All right. Keep my tattoo covered.
That's brain fluid. I recognize that taste.
I don't think you have to recognize that taste from the actually leaking out of his head.
Okay, so he records that information and looks back to the crew. Okay, so basically, we know how to get down here if we need to.
And we know what they're.
This is one of many like drainage pipes. Like it's no secret. Like you can get to
and we know they're after people with this symbol. So obviously, I cover my symbol because I'm not exactly proud of them, proud of being a member, but.
At the same time, Captain, that does give us a potential for a parlay. A chance to not have to fight, because I do remember what happened when we went to Lushkin. When we went to Lushkin, we went to that bar, we then set it on fire, we went to the basement, ended up killing a bunch of people. Turns out that one of the people there is actually related to somebody of higher up. How was related to someone higher up, and the connections to High Captain Rathor.
Wasn't that one of the lovers of Lay Brightwood?
You guys like started shit with like a smugglers guild that turned out to be where
that was Rose.
That
was Rose Thorn.
Wrong.
And then it turns out.
Rose Thorn was later.
You guys started a fight with a rare rat guild of smugglers known as just simply the Trade Guild. Which is their leader happened to be someone of higher societal standing.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I remember that fight. That's how I became a Wurbo in the first place.
And of which, I'm just operating on the assumption that somehow these guilds probably have connections to the higher nobility. So let's maybe extricate ourselves so that
dude.
What you do know of the Black Society is that at least one of them, you know of at least one member of upper rank in that society.
I was like, one
of the high captains.
I was like, dude.
Yes, and Dr. Ice is assuming that all these guilds probably have people of higher power, so let's not piss them off.
I was like, dude, remember the first or where I went out to the sewers? Don't fuck with people.
So yeah, let's not potentially piss off these people. Okay.
I mean, as far as I was aware, you guys currently work for them because you have
Yeah, we start
your
to
captain is
escort
now
them.
not the most willing of members, is still technically a part of the guild.
We
Or,
owe
sorry,
some
of the
debts.
society.
We owe some debts.
And the Stormbreaker is going to be a quote unquote respectable business as a bar and tavern owner.
Hence, why I'm thinking this. What is the nearby sewer exit? We go out there, we memorize where it is. If we do have to come back here, we can then come back here during some random night and not potentially piss off whoever is the guild owner here. Because for all we know, they probably already know we're here. We may have infiltrated them already. So let's try and not piss them off further and give them like the nice peace sign of, okay, we're leaving. Peace be with you.
All right, first thing
Here,
first. Let's go
I'm
back to
confused
ship.
what you're trying to imply here. You found a member of a secret society that you are a member of, or at least one of you is a member of. Why is there concern here? You have confused me now. What the fuck are you on about?
Like I'm just saying, my orders is to go back to the ship, read the read the language, and plan on next move. Like if this symbol actually is a beneficial to us, which I highly doubt,
I was hitting the wrong button.
then
Okay.
so be it.
So here's what I was saying. Okay, so I kind of realized I was probably saying with a whole lot of more words than I need to say. Basically, this is what I was saying. Okay, this is a secret society. Let's not piss them off. I know the captain apparently
What would you have
has
done
a
to
symbol.
piss them off?
We may
Nothing
or
to
may
do
not
that.
have stolen from them in the past.
So
they probably are pissed off.
Dude, where? Remember,
When?
I'm a member of
Did
that
we?
society, even though
I think
involuntarily.
you're confusing the
and
Kraken
for-
Society
and
with
from-
the Xanathar Guild,
and
which
former-
you're also confusing with the Trade Guild. There's a
And
lot of different organizations. They don't all have connections to each other.
Let's just put it this way. The meme, the big book here represents groups we pissed off. The tiny book is groups we have not pissed off.
But just to
Okay,
clarify
so-
one thing, there are a lot of different moving parts throughout the entirety of this world. Not every single thing is connected or related to each other. Sometimes things are just
There.
isolated incidences.
Okay, so in that case, then, okay, we know where we are. We know how to come back here if we need to. Let's just head out of the sewers. Let's get out of here. So, I can ensure that we don't smell like poop everywhere we go. Even though you have a perfect alibi of a druid that could just say that we went hunting skunks. So let's get out of the sewers.
And
clean our clothes.
it's not that I say that I'm halfway out the suit, not the out the brain.
Okay,
stuff.
so let's get out of here.
Are you coming
All
to
right,
walk?
you're already leaving.
Are you coming to
Bye-bye.
walk, doctor?
All right, I'll follow you.
And we walk up the drain pipe.
Cool. You
And
go
Vola
back
is,
up the drainage pipe.
and Vola is probably still thinking, God damn it, that man is too smart and he's still too stupid at the same time.
Ha. Lola thinks a lot of things, and they may or may not be related to whatever you just believed her to be thinking. I assume you guys aren't going to walk all the way back up through the sewer. You'll find a manhole cover and get out of the sewer sooner than the hour it took you to get here.
Look around
Yes.
first to make sure there's no guards.
And I'm gonna completely
then
empty my
pop out.
canteen and again control water, clean us off so we don't smell like poop.
A little quick rinse off.
Yes. So that way at least the clothes are clean and we don't stink like of poo gas.
Fortunately, the only person that knows all about this is off on a spiritual journey right now. And I'm pretty sure there's not going to be any books in that in any library that can explain what this guild actually represents, other than a cult.
I feel like Ty had a whole sentence he was about to say, but I only heard part of it.
Say
Same
again?
here.
No, I said that the only person that knows completely about this
No,
guild
you guys are in the middle of town.
is off on a spiritual journey.
Yeah, it was so like somewhere between midnight and 6 a.m.
No, it's like midday.
Oh, midday. Shit, for some reason I thought it was night.
Started this like first thing in the morning and have been doing this all day.
Yeah.
Like half the day.
Yeah, we're returning to the ship. We're returning to the ship now to swap some notes. And as the evil side, after we swap some notes, probably about noon, probably about like noon 1 a.m. I'm going to go back to scene of the crime to see if anyone's cleared out or not, because I want to buy that property.
Okay, is anyone like looking at us as we leave through the sewers?
I mean, no more than you would no more eyes than you would normally attract, being a large bird creature, half elven woman of incredible good looks, and a large half orc man.
And the
who's
two
also
bugbears?
has a gnoll, bugbear, and hobgoblin in tow as well. You're a very eclectic group. But no more than what you would think is
I like dude.
standard.
We stand out for everything. even
in a city like Waterdeep, you guys stand out.
Even our pirate crews, we stand out. So just take it, then just walk back to the ship.
I'm going to do the equivalency of lighting a match and dropping that lit match down the sewer and then seal a hole. Go, do not go down there. It stinks.
I mean, like, nobody saw you come out of the sewer, so like, there's no need for that. But
wait, I thought you said people were watching as we left.
No, I said I was
no, like
you
asked, is anyone looking at you as you guys are like traveling? And I'm like, no more than normal. You guys kind of attract attention just by the sheer standards of who you are.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Even in a city like Waterdeep, where there is a large abundance of racial mixing, like there's a lot of different types of races here. You still stand out. Aarakocra are very rare. Half orcs have a lot of bad notoriety. I mean, Jimpan doesn't get noticed as much for the fact that he's a half elf, but his character is also very charismatic and therefore leaves an impression. And then, of course, you have a gnoll, a hobgoblin, and a bugbear, which, while aren't rare sights, seeing them just walking around town certainly attracts attention, just due to the fact that, like, goblinoids and gnolls and whatnot tend to be more monstrous races, and while not all of them are monsters, they are typically, like, dangerous. Like, no warbands like attack and eat people on like a regular basis. Hobgoblins wage war in large hordes with other goblinoids like goblins and bugbears. Like, that's a common thing. They're not well liked of races just due to the fact that the majority of their kin are, evil. I'm not to say all of them are, but it's just the way it is. At least in the city.
Okay. All right.
I just misunderstood what you said initially.
All right.
So I assume you guys are going to return to your ship?
Yep.
Yes, I also
yes, I cleaned everyone's clothes, so while they're wet, but they're still clean. They're clean and not stinky.
I also paid the dockmaster another couple more nights because I'm pretty sure we're not going to be leaving for a couple more nights. I'll pay out my
arrive back at the harbor. Return. I'll take you another 30 minutes. It is 1 p.m. by the time you return to the harbor where your ship is docked.
Sorry, boss. Stuff is a little bit longer than I thought. I paid out my pocket this time, not the ship's pocket. Like, we're going to stay here for 2 or 3 more days.
I mean, you already paid 6 in advance. This is only a day.
Oh, never mind then.
You still
Then
have
never
like
mind.
3 more days after this.
All right, so never mind. I just put my money back and go to the ship and try to.
Almost have you know that trying to bribe a dockhand in Waterdeep is a violation of Section 223.
Stop right there, criminal scum! You are broken the law under arrest!
we're pirates. We're literally
As
the
like 4
floating
city
thing
guards just
of
appear on your ship. Stop right
breaking
there,
the
criminal scum!
law.
Stop right there, criminal Stop right there! Stop right there, criminal scum! You've broken the law! You have broken the law! You are under arrest! You've broken the law! You are under arrest! Just full glitch out.
By the way, we also burnt down a library and half a city. We robbed several ships. Half the thing, half of it is on our ship melted into normal gold, and
So, when you guys arrive at the docks, I assume you're going to go to your ship?
yeah.
Yes.
So what shall you do upon arrival at your ship?
I am going to wash my hands so that there's no trace of blood on my hands. I do not want to have any potential visitors. Despite how tasty my blood it probably is.
Well, I mean, they're not currently on the ship right now.
What time of day is it?
1
10
p.m.
in the afternoon.
Okay.
Well, 1300.
1,300 hours.
All right, that's after I change clothes, I'm actually going to go back to the scene of the crime.
I generally try to keep, as right here, as you can see, I generally try to keep track of like time and date to the best of my ability. It's 11th day of Marpenoth at 1300 currently. You guys haven't left Waterdeep yet, so I've been tracking days since you left to keep track of like how many days you owe your crew because you haven't left yet.
I thought we already paid the crew.
You did. That's why I haven't been tracking that because you haven't left Waterdeep. So I'm not tracking how many days of pay you owe them because you don't owe them any pay yet.
Yeah, once we set sail, that's when the pay.
Then
that's when they clock in again.
Because you're learning, these started on 00 day of Marpenoth. That's me tracking the number of, or that's me tracking the day you left, so that when we go back, we can easily determine how many days it's been.
All right, so
So you guys arrived at your lovely ship, the Stormbreaker.
I changed clothes and almost.
I go into my temporary quarters. Dr. Ice, I open my closet. Is everything still there?
As far as you know. No reason why it shouldn't be.
Good. Nobody stole my nice fake clothing.
Oh no! I'm about to run.
I mean, like, the ship isn't unattended. There's like not all of your crew is here at all times, but like they still like come to work and like
basic ship security. Yeah.
Plus, most of them live here, so like, not everybody wants to spend the money to go rent a room somewhere. They come back to the ship at the end of the day and like go to bed. Plus, when you guys left, your bosun Ryota was here. Dr. Leibowitz was here. Norix's Creve and Stone were both here, and so was Drusilla. And they are still here when you guys got here.
Greetings.
All right.
And if we're not going to do anything for the rest of the day, I'm going to open up my book on Draconic and start learning the language.
Cool.
And like I said, the first thing I'm going to do is
separate upon arrival.
The first thing I'm going to do is return to the scene of the crime to see if everything's cleared out.
That would have been quite a bit of a journey in the opposite direction than what you guys went.
I meant after we get back to the ship, I change pants.
Okay. So you're gonna go to like the other side of town by yourself?
But someone wants to come with me. I don't think just walking through town's not exactly.
I want to look for something bathhouse or something.
I don't know if bathhouses are a thing in Waterdeep. I know they are in Kalanport. I don't know. See, Waterdeep's very much like European-esque, like medieval.
And suddenly I came across an evil idea. What if instead of just a bar, we open a
don't
bathhouse?
think bathhouses are a thing culturally in Waterdeep.
Not yet.
I don't think Waterdeep's the kind of culture that would have bathhouse. Bathhouses are very much like your let me think. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think those bathhouses are a thing in this particular cultural region. Like Kalanport, Port Nyanzaru, like these places probably have like bathhouses, but I don't think Waterdeep does.
Okay. Or something that I can clean myself.
I mean, yeah, you have like a wash basin, and like you're surrounded by water. You have soap. It's not as good to be as luxurious as a bathhouse, but it gets the job done.
Oh boy. So is everything cleared out yet? Because I want to see if that property is worth buying or look for something. Or if not, then
the property's definitely not for sale right now.
Huh?
Yeah, if you're looking to buy that property that just got firebombed, it's not for sale. Just because it got firebombed doesn't mean it's suddenly up for sale. And it's still owned.
All right, then in that case, go back to the ship, go to dress in one of my more fancier clothes, and actually go to a fancy restaurant for the rest of the night.
Okay, so that's what you're gonna get ready to do later in the evening. Is there anything else anyone else is doing throughout the afternoon before evening?
Start reading Elven.
Cool. I'll go ahead and have you guys keep track of the amount of time you have to spend doing that, and you guys let me know when you get to the end of that completion.
I already put down the notes that I need 8 days to learn Draconic, so I already got that marked down.
Those are 8. Was it 8 days or 8 weeks? I believe it was work weeks.
Was it weeks? Hang on. Downtime, learning language. Per week of downtime. Okay. It's per week.
Okay.
So, okay, so not quite what I thought. All right.
Yeah, you don't learn a whole different language from scratch and become fluent in it in 8 days, my friend. No one's that good.
No matter how intelligent your race is.
Well, some of them are more intelligent than others. But let's see. Takes 10 work weeks, but can be reduced by number of work weeks equal to the character's intelligence modifier.
Yeah.
The higher intelligence, the more reduction that is.
+3.
You have a +3 intelligence modifier?
Yes.
What?
My intelligence is a 17.
The fuck? When was it that high?
It's always been that high.
What in the shit? Fuck, what? The hell? That means instead of 10 work weeks, dude, it only took 7. This is reduced by a number of work weeks due to your intelligence modifier, so yours is a 3. So you reduce it by 3.
Meanwhile,
so 7 weeks now.
Meanwhile,
yeah.
Meanwhile,
work week's 5 days.
Meanwhile, I have
So essentially
all,
35
all,
days.
all but 1 week because, well, I'm a barbarian, so technically I'm a dumbass.
Well, yours is still also based on intelligence. Your class doesn't dictate your intelligence. So however much your modifier is the number
Yeah,
of work weeks you
one.
shave
I'm
it down.
literally looking at it right now.
So yours is 9 work weeks, so 45 days. Yeah. Downtown duties are tasks that usually take a work week, which is 5 days or longer to perform. These tasks, blah, 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 blah. Most downtown duties require a work week. 5 days complete. Some duties require days, weeks, or months. The character must spend at least 8 hours. Character must spend at least 8 hours of each day engaged in the downtime activity for that day to count toward the activity's completion. So you have to spend the days of your work weeks, or whichever days you choose to spend, has to be spent in like 8 hours. Like it has to be a work day. Just to make sure that's all clarified. Now, that's what you're doing. Kira, you said you wanted to start working on that.
Yep, start learning Draconic.
Remember, this game won't count because it has to be an 8-hour day, not
Oh,
part of the day.
8-hour day. Okay, now
So,
I know that.
It's 10 work weeks subtracted by the number of intelligence modifier, subtracted by the number of weeks equal to your intelligence modifier, and each work week is 5 days, and each day is an 8-hour work day.
So in that case, none of us will count because of our sewer adventures earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do my ritual plan, get dressed in fancy clothing, and go out to a high level restaurant.
Cool.
I will join the captain in my nice Fey-made clothing and join the captain to a high-end restaurant because I don't think
it sounded like he was going to do that on his own. That's a single player activity.
Oh, never mind then.
Okay.
I'm going to take the remains of my priest vestments. I'm going to go see if I can find a seamstress who can not only just repair the damage that's been done, but also make it so it can fit like a being with wings.
Do you know impersonating a high-ranking member of a religion is a serious crime?
Shit, that's actually a terrible idea now that you say that out loud.
And not just with like standard authorities, like fucking paladins and shit would be coming after your ass if you start impersonating one of their fucking clergy members. I am totally a cleric of the great Lathander, and then a bunch of fucking like Dawnbringers are gonna come busting through your fucking door and be like, "Bitch, what you just fucking say?"
I did the service
I didn't
last
see you on the books. I didn't see you on the books. As their swords start going, I didn't see you on the books. Fucking holy spider, motherfucker! Wapa!
And then we have like 10 sessions to try to rescue you and escape one piece.
Just throwing it out there, like posing as a member of a clergy, impersonating a member of a clergy, especially one in like a fantasy world, will probably get you in a lot of trouble if you get caught. In case you, the player, was not aware of that, that is a thing. Like, you can't get away with it as easily in a fantasy world as you can in, like, the real world, where you just throw on a fucking robe and nobody knows the difference. It's like, in a fantasy world, they fucking know the difference between some jackass impersonating a member and then an actual true blue fucking cleric.
Oh!
Or at least members of that religious order would probably know the difference. You could probably, like, bullshit your way to be like, oh, I'm just a regular ass priest, but you're wearing like, these are like clerical robes. It's pretty easy to know when someone's not a fucking cleric.
I do not have the charisma of Homer Simpson when he says, "It's my first day."
It's my first day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
you know, like the gods are real, and they,
I'm pretty sure you have to roll
to the followers and be like, "Hey, someone's bearing false prophet of my teachings. Go kick his ass."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have to roll double net
on your ass in like a crusade to like beat the shit out of you.
Okay.
I'm just throwing it out there.
In that case, then I'm going to go to a seamstress and ask for like some nice clothing that could work around my body. I'm not bringing the broken, destroyed vestments. Just
okay.
Go to Seamstress.
I believe you can find fine clothes in the player's handbook for that. And Jim Pan asked you what you just typed in a minute ago. Funny enough, I believe there is a downtime activity for that because while they've been using the downtime activity for learning the language, it also applies to a tool. So yeah, pick up proficiency with a tool. I want to say there is a tool for doing clothing and whatnot. Let me check. Doing seamster works. Clothers. Whatever the fuck they're called.
Fine clothes, 15 gold.
Tools. Where are the tools? There they are. Alchemists, brewers, calligraphers, carpenters, cartographers, cobblers, cooks, glassblowers, jewelers, leatherworkers, masons, painters, potters, smiths, tinkerers, weavers. Here it is, weavers' tools. Just check something real quick. Include the items needed to... But yeah, there's a weaver's tools. You can go and acquire over time proficiency in weaver's tools. So you go find a Weavers for Dummies 101 or something like that. And yours follows the same rules as them learning a language to gain proficiency in a tool. You receive training in the language or tool typically takes at least 10 work weeks. Time reduced by number of work weeks equal to your character's intelligence modifier. Training costs 25 gold per work week.
And
So
I
what's
just have an evil idea. I just have an idea.
We'll get to you in a second, Tyler. Let me finish with Jim Pan. Your modifier is 2.
Intelligence +2.
+2? Okay. So it's going to take you 8 work weeks. It's 25 gold per, so... It's 200 gold. So again, spend 200 gold to purchase the book. So we'll say the gold cost will be covered, and then it will take you 8 work weeks, so 40 days, 48-hour days to gain proficiency in the Weaver's tools, and then once you gain proficiency in the Weaver's tools, that is the toolkit that allows you to do weaving stuff like making clothing and whatnot.
200 gold.
200, yes.
Okay. I paid that.
Not to be confused with 200 weird Swedish bucks.
Okay. 200.
I don't remember the name of your currency off the top of my head. I almost said fucking.
Like if Jim Pan comes back to station,
no, Deutsch is German. That joke won't work.
But yeah, can what you calls be learned by the NPCs as well?
Tool proficiencies?
Yeah.
If they choose to do so as part of their own downtime, they have tool proficiencies that are related to their particular jobs.
It's not
on their sheets, but it's one of those things where, depending on what job you have them doing, I generally make the assumption that they know how to fucking do it, so they have whatever proficiency they need to have. And then I do some behind the scenes shit on like what their bonuses would be for that.
Because I'm about to ask Dr. Levers if he wants to go into alchemy for a little bit, so don't have to spend a bunch of money on potions every time.
Well, he's already proficient in, I believe, herbalism kit, which he can use to make potions, which he has been doing. And then Lewis is proficient in alchemy, and he's also been doing it. So the two of them have been making potions.
Oh, then never mind then.
Yeah. They just don't make it super fast, and it does take time and money to make it, and they have to spend downtime to do so.
Oh, then never mind.
You guys have just opted to buy them from time to time as well.
Oh, then never mind. Then I'll just look for a nice date, then go to the bar and go to a nice bar.
Jim Pan, is there anything else besides you going out to having gone purchased all that before I skip towards the evening?
No.
Stuff might happen.
No.
Cool. Is it safe to assume that you're on the ship during the evening?
I go fix that and go back to the ship.
Yeah. So you would be on the ship later in the evening then?
Yes.
Cool. Ty, you're off going to do your thing. I'm going to assume Kiri would also probably be on the ship. Probably around in the evening when the captain has left to go and enjoy his an evening meal at a nice restaurant, which we'll get to all that in a moment. With Ty, we're going to be splitting the party for a quick second. Sariel returns to the ship. Kira, is it safe to assume that your character would also be spending the evening on the ship, or would you be off somewhere else?
What did I miss in the last 2 minutes?
I was informing Jimpan, who is staying on the ship after the captain left for to go and enjoy an evening meal at a nice restaurant by himself, so he could get away from you crazy people for a little while. Sariel came back to the ship that evening.
Okay.
Having returned from her information gathering that she'd been doing all day. That she left the previous day to go do.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to go to a seamstress, place an order for some fine clothing, and then once that's done, get the measurements done, head back to the ship.
Okay, so it is safe to assume that you'd be there that evening.
Yes.
Excellent. So the two of you are there when Sariel comes back.
Saria, how are you?
Yes. I am tired, but I have been doing extensive investigation and gathering of knowledge and have returned with information. I now can answer the question, what is a school?
What are they?
They are servants of the creature that some of you mortals know as the Old Ones, or Great Old Ones. The scientific community refers to them more as the aboleths.
That is a term I'm more familiar with as the aboleth. They did very much.
You'd be more familiar with Old Ones because you've heard that term more often, but
okay, fair enough. They did look similar to the drawings we saw of those creatures.
Indeed, they were, at some point in their existence, they were humanoid creatures, such as humans, elves, orcs, etc. However, through the transformative nature of various infections and magical emanations, as well as strange diseases that you can contract from being in the presence of an aboleth, it transformed them into creatures completely under their control called Skoom.
How the fuck does a transformation do that? Makes such serious changes to the body, and the body not die?
Well, lots of different species can cause strange transformations of the body. She says, looking down at herself, is like, my kind don't always look like this.
What do you mean?
Are you familiar with the process of ceramorphosis?
Would a druid even be familiar with that process of ceramorphosis?
Roll me. Stand by. Loading. Processing. Arcana. Maybe nature. Whichever one you feel better.
21.
You know that mind flayers, like many aberrations, are not naturally born. They are created. And you've heard the term ceramorphosis. You don't know you don't have a full, rock solid scholarly understanding of what ceramorphosis is, but you do know it's the process of a humanoid, such as, we'll use human for example, being transformed into a mind flayer.
So kind of like the world's weirdest form of molting. Like you're molting from your previous skin to another thing, and it
Yes,
eventually
it is.
goes to an.
Over the process, of course, the host is destroyed, and the Mind Flayer is created. So whatever person existed before the Mind Flayer doesn't exist anymore, other than in small vestiges that sometimes have weird lingering quirks in the Mind Flayer afterwards. Those are like uncommon to rare cases. Which points out, is like there are lots of creatures that do that.
Do you happen to recall what you were before you became a Mind Flayer, Sariel?
Yes.
The form that we saw before we realized what you were, was
No.
that more akin to what you were?
Nah.
No shit. Now I'm confused.
That's the illusion I picked because it looked neat.
Fair enough.
I change it every once in a while when I get bored.
Wait. Were you that one random, like blonde, like white-haired dwarf that ended up creating a bar brawl about a year before I joined the crew?
No, I have never done dwarfs. Glamour illusions don't work well when you change your body type too much. I try to pick tall and thin creatures like elves. Well, elves aren't really that tall, but humans and elves, the more lankier creatures, so it doesn't look super obvious that I'm not like 3 feet wide and only like, as you can see, I'm kind of a tall person, so I try not to pick things that are too short like dwarves.
Note yourself. Find that dwarf and kick his ass and get that coin purse back. Get my coin purse back.
Fucker still owes me money. But I did gain that knowledge, and I've now answered your question.
Okay.
Now know what a scoom is.
Did its brain taste tasty, or how did it taste?
Whose brain?
So it tasted like brain.
Whose brain? What are you talking about?
Like-
Well, why are we talking about brains? I thought we were talking about information.
Well,
I went and did research.
well,
Information gathering.
do brains by species taste different?
I mean, some of them, yeah. Usually, if they're more intelligent, they usually taste a little bit better because they have more knowledge to absorb.
I feel like we're entering into a weird area of questions that are not quite what I'm thinking. I'm just going to shut up, because I just probably
I'll
misconstrued.
keep answering the questions as long as I have the information, sir. Would you like to know more? I can tell you about the process of seramorphosis.
Yes,
I
please.
don't know the
What's
exact
process?
processes that go into creating a scoom, but I can tell you all about how to become a Mind Flayer.
I take my notebook out and I start saying, yes, please.
Cool. Well, first, a Mind Flayer colony, when they wish to improve their numbers, they go and they find hosts, humans, elves, various types of humanoids, and then they capture them and take them to their nest or the lair, where we have a large brine pool where we have small tadpole-like creatures, or what you guys would call tadpole-like creatures. These are our children, created by the elder brain of our colony. We take those, and then we implant them through your eyeball, and it burrows into your brain and then latches onto your brainstem. Upon which it devours and starts to devour and replace part of your brain matter. And then it begins the process of seramorphosis, which transforms your bodies, the host body, into a form more suitable for the tadpole to nest within. It takes about a week. From our understanding, it's incredibly painful and horrible to those that are under the effects of it. Usually it starts out as a sickness, headaches, nausea, sometimes vomiting. If you are a creature of hair or fur, that falls out. Your skin becomes more translucent and slimy. Your jaw will split open to form a lamprey mouth as she picks her tentacles up to show you. as well as allows the upper maxilla to elongate more into tentacles. And eventually the skin begins to slog off as it splits and cracks open, allowing the new form, like a butterfly leaving a chrysalis, to emerge as a mind flayer. After about a week, whatever vestiges, whatever mind existed of the original host is long devoured and destroyed and absorbed into the new form of the mind flayer, which then will connect to the sonic network of the elder brain and other mind flayers and begin to, while it has many of the knowledge that all mind flayers start at a basis of, it's still newly formed into its existence and therefore has to spend some number of formative years in its newest existence as a full adult mind flayer, learning certain things about its place in the colony and various knowledge that the mind flayer didn't start off with a basis of, or illithid, as we're actually called. Mind flayer is more of a derogatory layman's term because we flay minds, according to various scholars.
Now, you mentioned that that's what happens with the humanoids, like humans, elves, half-elves, etc.
Well, we can only do it to humanoids. We can't do it to, like, dogs.
What happens if you were to try and do something like that to one of my kind, like an Arakakra?
You're a humanoid. You have 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, and a torso.
What would the result be? Because, well, compared to humans,
I've never heard of, or my colony never acquired any Arakakra, because my colony lives down in the Underdark, and we don't see many of them down there. But odds are we would get a standard mind flayer.
No wings?
I mean, I've heard that there can sometimes be strange mutations that can occur during ceremorphosis. Most colonies do not approve of any form of mutation whatsoever, and any mind flayer that doesn't come out as it should is immediately destroyed and removed from the colony as an abomination.
So, essentially the abominations, well, quote-unquote abominations, they're basically just sent out in exile.
No, we kill them.
Ew!
No, the mutations are not allowed to exist. There's a reason why I'm not a part of my colony anymore, because they also don't like arcane magic. Sorcerers are considered a mutation. I am not a sorcerer, obviously. I'm a wizard, but the study and learning and knowledge of arcane magic over our psionic abilities is considered a no-no in many colonies. Now, each colony is, of course, differently. Some colonies are more lenient or more open-minded. Some are more secular and xenophobic. It depends on the elder brain, because they're the one that's in control of the colony as a whole, as part of the hive mind.
If there's anyone out that's trying to kill you, let me know. I will ensure the captain knows that, and we'll do our best to ensure
they're not
they can't kill
actually
you.
hunting me at the moment, because I left.
The offer still remains.
I decided I did not wish to be a part of the hive mind, so I shielded off part of my mind to hide what I was doing from the elder brain and thus the rest of the colony until I got to the point where I felt it was a good time to leave, and so I did. I haven't seen them in a very long time.
Again, the offer still remains. If there's
Well, like I said, no one's trying to kill me currently. Now, obviously, if I went back to the colony, they would outright kill me because I left. Obviously, I have no intention of going back to the colony.
Of course. But any stalkers,
That's
know.
That's just one colony. There are many colonies.
But is it possible for an illithid to leave one colony and join another colony?
It's not very common, but it can happen. Generally, if a illithid gets too far away from the colony or from the elder brain and they go outside the range of the hive mind network, they become separated and thus no longer under the influence of the elder brain. And then if they were to go into the range of another elder brain, they could get pulled into that network. But many a times, some mind flayers separate from a colony to go form another colony. That's how there's so many of us. While we're all part of a hive mind, we still are individuals. Sometimes we don't have agreement on how things should be done, so we just separate into two separate colonies instead. Usually when an Ulithard comes into existence, usually when such a splitting occurs, which is a special kind of mind flayer that gets created very rarely, and Ulithards eventually will evolve into its own full elder brain.
So the Ulithards are basically the progenitors to an elder brain. Interesting.
They're the pre-stage.
A pre-stage. Okay.
Yes, and the fact that they can still move under their own power, don't have to be dragged around in a large vat. Elder brains aren't very mobile. That's why colonies don't move around a lot.
Yeah. I thank you, Sariel. The knowledge is quite amazing.
I don't often talk to people about this that don't look at me like, oh God, that's horrible. How can you be so cavalier and casual about this? Oh, we're a tentacle monster. Get away from me. Don't eat my brain.
I wish I had something of equal value to offer. The gift of knowledge.
She gets like real fucking close, so close that her tentacles, that if she just raised her tentacles, she could easily wrap around your entire head. She goes, you have many things that are of great value. And then she kind of goes. She like starts tapping your head with her tentacles and goes, "But I would never eat your brain. At least not while you're alive."
Banana.
And then she like quickly scampers off, having thoroughly fucked with you because this is how she gets her kicks sometimes.
Yep, and Dr. Bennett and Dr. Ice just goes, banana.
Banana. You hear like some snickering off to the side, and you see like some of the drows just go. We weren't looking at anything as they go back to like swabbing the deck.
I take my clawed talon feet, and I say, "Get back to work, or I'm gonna shove this right up your ass."
Yes, sir.
Oh boy.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, those drow crewmen, they saw a half-elf and not the Illithid, correct?
No, by this point, everybody on the ship knows what she is.
Ah. Never mind that.
She hasn't spent a lot amount of effort to really care enough to hide it. It's more of like, the glamour is more of like so she can walk around town and not immediately get stabbed by the city guards. She doesn't do that. She doesn't try that hard to hide it once you actually start to interact with her.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, as she's right there, basically within kissing distance, Dr. Ice goes, banana?
Money!
And then
Is that Dr. Ice's safety word?
If I intend to die, I'll let you know. If I'm going to die, if I know I'm going to die, I'll let you have it. But so long as I can still kick ass, I'll keep my brain, please. Actually, mechanically speaking, what exactly happens when an Illithid eats a brain? Do they gain, any attributes of the brain they ate, or,
They gain whatever knowledge the brain contained.
So, theoretically, that would be, spells, skills, stuff like that?
No, just knowledge. They wouldn't gain, special abilities or magic, but, if you know of, a dude who, sells drugs under the bridge around the corner and they eat your brain, now they know about that dude under the bridge who sells drugs around the corner.
Okay. So it's just knowledge, and that's it. Okay.
It's information.
The memories.
Yeah, memories, knowledge, information.
And then she will learn of that bitchin' great time at Queen Mabe's palace. That time we completely upshot over. God damn, what's that word? We did a 1-up on Queen Titania. But yeah, I guess that's the Doctor's time with Sariel.
Yeah, I'm hunting for something for our good buddy Ty here. I have to listen to something real quick.
I just love how you can just type DR space LI, and this is the very first thing that shows up.
Huh.
Like, I have no idea where that cartoon comes from, but I've seen it in and that meme a lot in last week.
That's the Soviet Union's Treasure Island. You have Dr. Livesey, you have that kid in the back. Other character, I don't recall because I really don't remember Treasure Island. But in the middle is Dr. Livesey.
And a JoJo Run Fest, of course.
Dude, they made Dr. Livesey the Giga Chad. And fun fact, the Soviet Treasure Island, it's actually like an anti-smoking, anti-drinking PSA as well. With this goddamn, like, Chad.
Like, don't smoke, drink, and end up like this chat right here.
I think this will work. Took me a hot second to find it, but I think this will work. So, our good captain. You head off into the city and you find a nice a nice tavern in the more upscale regions of the city, where you have your evening meal. The waiter takes your order. He gets you your drinks, your food. It will be a total for the entire evening meal, because this is one of the really nice places. It's not as high as aristocratic, but it is certainly wealthy. It will be 2 gold. Sorry, no, 8 silver.
Ah.
For the entirety of the meal.
Ah, that's not bad. And toss in 5 silver.
As a lovely tip.
And I happily eat my meal and enjoy.
Indeed you do. At one point, the waiter comes over and then places a incredibly high and expensive bottle of wine on your table. One you did not order. And he says, "Compliments of another guest, sir." And he sits it down.
And I turn to see who's the guest.
With some fava beans.
As soon as you said the fine wine, I had to do it.
Distracted me. We were also just talking about like Sarah like eating people's fucking brains and shit. Yeah. Hannibal Lecter was a fucking cannibal. He ate people's brains and shit. Sorry. I gotta trace myself into my mind I had a moment ago.
To DM mode again.
Yeah.
Trust
I don't know if I can do you out with the whole fama beans thing. So I was just thinking about that fucking movie. Okay, now I remember.
Hannibal is a classic movie.
And you try to figure out who had the bottle sent over, and you see an individual that's looking across the room towards you at another table by himself. And when you guys lock eyes, he gives a small wave, and then motions, and then he gives like a motion towards you to indicate him asking permission to come and sit down at your table, because this is one of those places where you don't just get up and sit down at someone's fucking table, because that's incredibly rude, and the impropriety of this level of restaurant would have you thrown out. So he's trying to indicate that he's looking for permission before he just walks over to your table.
I just say, like, come on.
He comes over, he gives you a small bow and goes, "Greetings, fair captain. It's nice to make your acquaintance." And then he seats himself down at your table.
I was about to ask why doesn't know I'm a captain, that I realized, all right, I wear captain's level clothing.
I mean, you are dressed as a sailor of captain. Like there is, like, there's not a uniform across all captains, but like there's a certain style of dress that many ship captains wear depending on the culture you're from. And if you know the culture, it's pretty easy to just spot it. Since you're the more northerner-esque bent, you wear more of the northerner style of sailor's dress rather than more of the southerner. Like, you're not walking around in like desert robes and a turban like if you were like a California captain. You wear, the long captain's coat with the ascot and the pantaloons and the tricorner hat with sometimes a little plumage depending on one's taste and style.
Of course, I'm supposed to have a plumage.
And he, of course,
obviously I'm not going to have my skull and crossbows on this particular hat.
No, of course not. But like, even pirates don't always wear the skull and crossbones motif. That's when they're trying to be intimidating, and you're just trying to wear something nice. Because this is one of those restaurants that does have a dress code, so you did have to dress up. And he's also in a nice sailor clothing, not nearly as elaborate as like a captain, but definitely possibly an officer. Actually, give me a history check.
All right, 1 second.
With advantage,
because I'm pretty sure my history sucks, but whatever.
With advantage, though, because based on your background, you would recognize this.
Yeah, history sucks.
You definitely recognize that you're not as familiar with Water Deviant, with the Water Deviant Armada's ranking system as you are with like the Bulduran. But you do recognize that while you don't know his exact rank, you do recognize the more officer uniform of a navyman or a Navy seaman in the Water Deviant Armada or the Water Deviant Navy. He's not as high as captain. You think he's somewhere in the mid to lower range of officers. You're not 100% certain.
So I'm thinking,
you don't recognize the symbol.
Let's see now. What's higher than ensign? Probably lieutenant or major.
You would probably in the Navy based on
because I was in the Navy.
You're thinking maybe lieutenant.
Lieutenant first class.
Lieutenant first class, lieutenant officer rank. In terms of the Navy, I want to say.
So I guess lieutenant first class then.
Yeah, he's definitely not like mega high. Mega high, low, honey ho. He's definitely not like. He's not like a captain, and he's definitely not higher than like a ship captain. You definitely gets based on the quality and how fancy the uniform is. He's definitely an officer. He's not like a midshipman. He's not a fucking ensign. He's not like a fucking deckhand. But he's not a captain. He doesn't have. You don't see captain ranks. The one thing you would absolutely recognize immediately on sight is the rank of a captain, because those are unmistakable across most navies. The varying in rank of a captain or someone higher than that. He's definitely not an admiral, God forbid. But he's definitely not low. He's like somewhere in the middle of the food chain.
Okay.
And he sits down and he says, "It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Captain."
Pleasure to meet you too. I uh, uh, I assume it's Lieutenant First Class.
Yes. You can call me Lieutenant Randall.
Captain
That
Turk.
is not him hesitating his name. That's me trying to think of a name immediately off the top of my head because I hadn't come up with a name for this character. His name is Randall now.
Don't worry. I do that all the time.
Lieutenant James Randall at your service. Water Deviant Navy.
Captain Turk Harrison.
Yes, I'm very aware of who you are, Captain. You and I have mutual acquaintances. We travel in the same societal circles, if you understand my meaning. I believe you had quite the adventures the other day. You were in the city where the city market where lots of explosions occurred.
Yes, we're also curious about what exactly happened, if you will. Unfortunately, we can't
Luckily
find
for
the
you,
end.
luckily for you, Captain, is that you get to be on the inside track of that information. It's time for you to pay back some debts and earn your keep in the society. Those warehouses were owned by the society. He kind of like does a quick glance, make sure there's nobody a little too interested. Okay. And my dice almost tried to escape me when I rolled it. And he goes, "They were owned by the society. We were using them as places of storage, safe houses, hideouts. You know, the usual things. We are currently in the middle of a secret war. I won't bore you with too much details. You don't need to know too much to understand what's going on. But those creatures that attacked us, they're not friends, obviously. They are one of many enemies we are currently facing on the other side. One of many different kinds of creatures. And we're having a bit of a hard time due to
the fact that it attacks
of our society.
Given the fact that it attacks civilians, yeah, I'm not. These are not friendly creatures. Even pirates even my
civilians
jobs
are
have
not
standards when it comes to
the problem is that though they're destroying our assets.
I was like, even my profession has some standards.
Yes, you can have your standards as you see fit, good sir. But back to more of the point. The society has an assignment we would like to give to you. There's a, let's see, what's the best way to put this? As Spencer tries to think of a word. There's some problematic incidences. This is one of the first here in Waterdeep, but they begun to originate in Skullport. The Aboleth hegemony is causing some similar issues and are a little bit more dug in, so to speak, in Skullport, since they can operate a little bit more openly than they can here in Waterdeep. So our assets are limited here in the Waterdeep. But as Skullport is fairly close to Waterdeep, obviously, they're a problem. This area of this particular region is under the purview of one of the lieutenants of the society, one of the senior lieutenants, ones who answer directly to the top brass, so to speak. We need you to go down to Skullport, make contact with one of his people of his branch of the organization, figure out what he needs done. I don't have those particular details myself. I'm just the message man. But my understanding is that those individual creatures that did that firebombing, they didn't get to Waterdeep by just simply walking in. They came from below. Skullport, specifically. That's where they currently have their foothold in the region here. We need you to have it removed. The more finer details can be discussed more in private situations once you get to Skullport and make contact with the Scoom Lord. That's his name, by the way.
Sounds like a very tempting offer, and 2 reasons.
Well, it's not an offer, Captain. It's an assignment. You are a part of the society now. Saying no would be very detrimental to the health of you and your crew.
I was actually about to say that I get to clear up my debt to society and hopefully make waves in this city as well, for I'm clearing up that firebombing incident.
Yes, once you clear your debt and you prove to be a useful asset, then you'll get more connections, more access to our resources.
I was like, this is an offer.
Has access to safe houses.
Like, this is an offer. This is an offer too good to pass up.
Indeed.
I almost want to say what's the catch, but
well, the catch is that it's going to be dangerous. Is why we're sending you, because most of us are infiltrators and spies. You, dear Captain, will fall under the category of muscle and enforcers. And you're the closest one, and the most expendable, because you haven't proven your worth yet.
I wish Cree, for once, I still wish Cree was here, but...
So do we. He was a very useful asset to the society. We're lucky that he pulled you in with him to maintain better connection to your ship. Having enforcers that can travel is quite useful. We just have to see if you're up to the task.
Like I said, we both benefit for this.
Indeed.
You get rid of some enemies. I get to make high ranks within the 5 captains. The 5 high captains.
Nope, not the 5 high captains. This is the Kraken Society, Ty.
Oh. No, I meant from the city. Get to make waves in clearing up this city's mess, and hopefully...
Well, this city being Waterdeep and Skullport. Luskin's like way at the other end of the north. They're a secret society. They have fingers everywhere.
Besides, I'm pretty sure one of those fingers isn't one of the hidden council members. I said that in my head.
Oh, one of the Master Lords? Maybe. You don't know. It's possible.
But still, the truth remains.
The thing about the Kraken Society, nobody knows who's in the Kraken Society.
But still,
not even each other.
But still, the truth remains. We both benefit. We both benefit from this, so I don't see why not.
Indeed we do, Captain. Indeed we do. Enjoy your evening. I've taken up too much of your time already. Enjoy the wine. I've
Thanks.
heard it's
I'm not
quite
going.
good.
I'm not going to drink it too much. I do like to do it. I still like to do. I. I do not. I do know how to act in high society. Even going to get a night a, a lay of the night later, but that's between you and me.
Indeed. But enjoy the wine.
And
Insert name of really fancy, expensive red wine from the setting here, because I can't think of one immediately off the top of my head.
and I take a drink and finish my
It
meal.
is incredibly good. Whether or not it's within Captain Torque's taste is up to you to decide, but it is a very high quality one. It's
Well, it's not exactly my taste. The taste of this might have me change my mind. Damn.
let's see, what's the standard bottle of wine's worth?
375. I think it's like
Yeah,
750.
a fine bottle is like 10 gold. This is like a 30 gold bottle wine.
Damn.
Like triple the price of a standard fine bottle of wine. This is like the top. This is like not. This isn't the top shelf wine. This is the wine they hide in the back so that the regular guests don't know about it. Only the special guests know about this wine.
So the equivalency of a Louis the 13th. It's a specific brand of brandy. Brandy, I think it is. But yeah, like a
They
half
don't keep it on
ounce.
the shelf. It's not in the front. It's always hidden in the back.
Yeah, like with Louis the 13th, like a half ounce is around $90, just for a half ounce.
Yeah, this is like I said. The book says a fine bottle of wine is like 10 gold, so triple that. This is a 30 gold bottle of wine that he just bought.
Like
Get your attention.
I said the bar was like, and once we get our private island, this will be our celebration drink.
Yeah, like he bought the whole bottle for you, so you can easily like have that taken with you.
Yeah.
And then you can like store that on your ship
I assume
somewhere.
he bought the whole bottle so I could take it with me on the way out.
Yeah, you have like a glass of it, and you're like, wow.
That's why I said I grabbed it like, wow, this is actually good. Like, you know what? I'll save the rest of this when we finally get our own private island and have it like working and stuff like that. Then the whole crew can celebrate. But for now, one step at a time. We still need to delay back down to her hometown, and now we have another job we have to do.
Yeah. As you finish your evening meal, late in the evening, and begin to return to your ship, you, of course, immediately recognize various unsavory characters. They're hidden in the shadowy alleyways of the city. You, of course, avoid those places. Many of them are like, it's the usual like eyeing of like, he looks like he's dressed nicely. I wonder how much money he has. Does he look super drunk? Does he look formidable? Could I take him? You see the usual like them eyeing you up and down and determining you are not worth the risk. Like how drunk is he? How formidable does he look? I assume you're obviously armed.
Yeah, I'm not drunk.
And you're not drunk, so they make the determination of not a person I want to fuck with. Next victim.
And once I get back to the ship, well, I assume they update me of. I assume we update each other of what happened.
You can certainly assume that if you wish. I assume the majority of the crew hasn't gone completely to bed. Well, some of them might have gone to bed.
Well, okay, so so I guess tomorrow we'll update each other on what happens.
At this point, it's essentially, I would say, probably 10 o'clock.
Oh, so yeah, I assume most of the crew in bed while walking. Like, hey, fellas.
Some of them, like the night shift's still awake, and
Like-
the two players can state whether their character will still be awake at 10 in the evening.
Jim Pin.
So the two players can state whether or not their characters are awake at 10 in the evening.
Yep.
Are you
Are
awake?
you still awake at 10 o'clock at night?
Yes. Yes.
Ben said yes. Gary is still undecided.
What?
Are you still awake at 10 o'clock at night when the captain gets back?
Yes, I'm awake.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure about that? You seem to fall asleep at the computer there, my friend. Staring off in the distance.
To be fair, for the last half hour, I didn't have a whole lot to do, so yes, I'm still awake.
Yeah.
Hey, fellas! I'm surprised you're up this late.
I mean, it's not super late.
Yeah. Well, we might have a mission soon.
Okay.
And even though it's for this society, I point at the place where my tattoo is. It might benefit both of us. So, yeah.
What?
Yours is a brand. Creed's is a tattoo. Yours is a brand.
I meant the point where the brand marking is. Obviously, it's covered, but
yeah, because of course you have nice sleeves. It's only right here in your inner forearm.
Like even though it's for this freaking society, it might benefit both of us, and we actually knocked out these what they're called because that was the purpose. If we couldn't figure out by now, that was their purpose. Like these people are in a war against the society, and they knocked out a couple safe houses, which is why we all saw a little innocent bar getting burnt at the stake. Similar to what we did, except more effective.
Sariel will ask the question of, and he used the term aboleth hegemony, not just the name of an aboleth, correct?
Yeah. Why? What happened?
Well, the aboleth hegemony is an entire hegemony of aboleths that have not come out of hiding for a very long time. If they're making moves, this is a big problem. They're the She goes, I don't know much about their particular goals, but I do know that there's a lot of them and they're very powerful. And if they're starting a fight with the crack society, things are about to get a lot worse, very quickly. It's probably a good thing that they're fighting with just their minions rather than directly against one another. A direct battle between Slarkathel and the Aboleth Hegemony would probably devastate the entire Trackless Sea.
Which would make our jobs as pirates a lot, and quote-unquote future businessmen way harder.
It would be if you're dead, yes.
I meant traveling in general. But yeah,
yes, it would be hard to travel if you're dead. These are ramifications that can stretch greatly. It's not the problem of two naval nations going to war. This is a problem of two immensely powerful beings with vast, powerful vast, powerful organizations with assets and power structures smashing against each other. These aren't just two kingdoms or two nations. These are two entities going at each other.
Pretty much a war, which no one, even we, want.
Well, it will certainly pull the world into their struggles.
All right, so this is our job now, which means we have to do this after we drop off the I was about to say the lady. I was about to say the Baroness as well. What's the vampire Lady Baroness
The Duchess?
Duchess. Yeah.
Duchess.
Yeah, after he dropped off the Duchess, because I'm pretty sure she's waiting long enough to get home, we go straight to that job. Because ironically, and I pulled the bottle of wine, and after we finish that job, we're island hunting, boys. And once we finish setting up an island,
I will point out that the city of Skullport is a lot closer than the city of Baldur's Gate.
while it is true, that means we have to. That means we have to extend the. We have to keep what you call them bored. That means we have to convince her to.
There are ways to get to Skullport by land as well as by sea.
That is. Oh, well, that's interesting.
Skullport is below Undermountain, which is like underneath Waterdeep. There are various secret ways to get to Skullport. You just got to know the right people and know the way to get there.
So his friend's like, so fortunately, we might have to pick the Dockmaster another week because we're walking boys.
Yep.
And I assume you have information.
Our character has actually been to Skullport. You actually know the secret ways to get to Skullport, and you know that it.
I know the way.
Perfect.
I know the
At
way.
least you know at least a way to get to Skullport. You don't know all of them.
I know.
Well,
You know at least
one way is better than
One way.
one way is better than no ways. And I assume you have information you want to tell me eventually.
The information that you have, Japan, is that about a day's journey by ship, slightly south of Waterdeep along the coast, there is a sea cave, inside of which is a wizard whose job it is to teleport ships from that cave into the harbor of Skullport, well below the underground. Those that are authorized to do so, of course. You don't have that special permission to do so, but you definitely know that's where you got to go.
I tell them that.
Alright, so we need special permission, which unfortunately I don't.
When you think about that, Ty, give me an investigation check of yourself.
Oh boy, 1 second. Of course, it's gonna be one of my weak stats. Of course I'm dumb. I'm a dumbass.
Wow. You failed to notice the thing that was slipped into your pocket during the conversation.
Can anyone do an investigation check to see if something's in our pocket?
Are we with you?
Do what?
Of course you're with me. I'm talking to you.
I mean, yeah, you're all standing right there.
Okay.
Your passive perception notices that there's something sticking out of his pocket that you don't think was there before, because you know your captain's not typically a person who walks around with shit stuffed in his pockets.
He doesn't hide a zucchini in this pant leg. Got it.
No. You notice that he has what looks like some kind of writ, ship passage writ, in his pocket,
I take that out.
which is written in code that you don't recognize. You never knows, like, you don't recognize the format, but you don't know what it says.
This is code. I don't know what it is.
What the? Jeez. If it wasn't work for this society, I might have had him as a good thief if he gets a thing. Yeah. Well, I guess we got a shipwreck.
I'm going to start writing down what I see in the letter into my journal as well.
If you think that's wise.
Worst case scenario, I just annoy Drusilla.
Alright, so now I have to do something. Now I have to convince the Duchess to stay here for a couple of days while we finish our thingy. Or take her with us and just have her sleep on the ship, which I'm pretty sure a lady of her high standards will be bored soon.
Well, no, unless you ask.
Well, I guess that's the only thing I could do is ask. So, first thing, well, first, she'll be up and about by now. I was about to say first thing in the morning, but she sleeps in the morning.
She's also not physically on your ship right now because you were told.
So that means I have to go all. That means I gotta go all the way.
She'd come back.
That means I go all the way across just to ask. All right, late afternoon. I'll explain the situation.
You could always have a message sent to her explaining the change in itinerary if there is a change in itinerary.
All right, I'll just. All right,
we'll have a message sent that she'll reply.
Like we have a message sent to see us. Well, a quick change of itinerary. We have to stop by this port. I explained some of the details, like it might be connected to this attack right here, and we got Major Lee on it. If you want to come, go ahead. If not, we'll pick you up as soon as we finish. Obviously, you're not going.
Are you indicating?
I'm not going to connect it to a society. It just says that.
Well, let's say, are you indicating to her that you are leaving earlier than you had originally quoted to her, later than you'd originally quoted to her, at the same time that you had told her?
At the same time, as in we're still going.
So your departure time has not changed?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. And you will have that written and then sent first thing in the morning?
Yep.
And there's actual mail services?
Yep. Because I'm pretty sure none of our crew is back yet. At least not until...
I mean, you do, but like standard like courier services do not operate in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Plus, we actually get... Plus, for once, we actually get to come up with a plan instead of going head first into death. And after this, I take off my fancy clothes,
and go to bed.
Yep.
I'm asleep. And I look up.
Assuming nobody else is doing anything else wacky or super involved during the evening, night passes, and you awaken on the 12th day of Marpenoth. The letter is sent, and you will receive that reply at some point later in the day. It does take time for it to travel to her, for her to write, and then come back. What shall you be doing here on the 12th day of Marpenoth, your 4th day in port?
Right. And we're here for another day, correct?
You paid for 6.
6 days, and this is day 4.
This is the start of the 4th day. So this day, tomorrow, and then the next day. At the end of the next day is when you are paid up. So either that evening or the following morning. I'm sure I remember correctly what the system was. Okay. Yeah. So the on the 7th day is when you're expected to be out of the port. At the start of the 7th day is when you need to be gone. Otherwise, you have to pay for an additional day.
All right,
I
so
wanna-
go
I
ahead.
want to take a quick look around the ship. Make sure that our VIPs, they're where they're supposed to be with a simple knock at the door.
They're
They're
the
at the other.
100th time. They're not on the ship, guys.
I
They
mean,
left
they're
the
vampires.
ship to sleep somewhere else during your visit here.
I meant the vampires.
Yeah,
They're
they
not
left
on
here.
the
That's why I
ship.
had to send the message out to say, "Hey, on the way back to your hometown, where I stopped by this place and indicate that it has something to do with the firebombing earlier.
Okay,
But we're
never
still
mind
leaving
that.
at the same time. If you
Never
want,
mind
if
that.
you want to
Clarify
stay,
one last time so everyone's on the same page. The Duchess, Her Grace Casimir, is not on the ship. Neither is her escort, Lady Katya. They are staying with the Duchess's friend, the Countess Dumont, at her estate during the 6 days you were in port. They have not been on the ship since you guys arrived.
that's why I'm
They
also
left
saying.
that evening.
That's why
Have
I'm
been
also
gone since.
saying that if the Duchess and the ladies want to come with us, you may do so, or go stay with the Countess until we finish our business and get back.
Oh,
So
in that
right,
case,
so right now we need to plan to find out what's their weaknesses, because we know we're going to be in a fight down there this time.
Weaknesses of what?
Ah, crap. Well, obviously those creatures for one. The one,
The school?
yeah, because I'm pretty sure that's the first and second line of defense, and the rest we have to figure out on our own. And Kiri's doing something.
she's doing some mental math. They're doing that. What do I do? I'm going to accompany Arcanislam form. So that way, when she leaves the ship, I will be with her.
Shara will tell you that the Scoom is amphibious and can breathe both air and water. It is immune to fear and charms, unless those effects come from their masters. They have damage resistance to psychic, and their only major weakness is they have a water dependency. If they spend more than 10 minutes without exposure to water, they will start to dry out, and they will take 1d12 acid damage every 10 minutes it goes without exposure to water. They also don't move very fast on land. They only have a speed of 20, whereas in water they have a speed of 40.
And given that going to their house, obviously they don't have home field advantage. So oh, thank you, Sario, for your insights.
No problem.
Let's go in for a rough one, boys. Again.
Yep.
She makes a comment and goes, yes, the individual who I found was very knowledgeable on the subject of the Scoom.
Really, I look at Iceland in the front, like, and you didn't tell me this because.
Well, you haven't asked about the Scoom specifically, other than what they
No,
were.
no, I meant they didn't share this information for the captain because.
Oh, because I was asleep when you got back last evening, Captain. So I hadn't had the chance to tell you yet.
Like,
I assumed
like,
that
I,
I assumed that
I,
the senior officers had told you that because I
like,
told them that you were here when they were here.
I'm not saying you were supposed to tell me. I know you were asleep last night. These two were awake when I when I got back.
Well, because you weren't talking about the origins of what a Scoom was. You were talking about this thing you had to do. So technically, it never came up.
Good point.
Now, that's about the Scoom. If you have any other particular questions about certain types of creatures, you can ask, and Sariel can attempt to make rolls on them.
Fortunately, we don't know what we're going into, and for once, I'm not going to send my spies over there to find out because they might not come back alive this time.
Well, you have nowhere to send your spies. You're not in Skullport.
Yeah, and we have one route, and I'm pretty sure we want most of the crew as possible for that one route, and not just a couple of spies.
Yeah, it's for the passage of your ship. So, like, you know, it works for the group, but the whole group has to be there.
Eh,
But you guys may do as you see fit upon this fine day. Discuss, plan, figure things out, ask questions, and I can provide you the answers that you will have access to,
uh,
as well as do any downtime activities that you so wish to do. Talking and discussing a plan of attack will not detriment away from any downtime activities you wish to be doing. It will not harm your 8-hour workday. As long as they don't involve like heavy amounts of things you have to do that would take you away from your 8-hour workday. So you have to spend, if you're working on a downtime activity, such as learning a language or learning a tool proficiency, you do have to spend 8 hours of that day. But as we know, there's 24 hours in a full day period. So,
all right, so I'm
you can
starting.
do stuff in the morning and then spend those 8 hours. You can do those 8 hours, then spend some stuff in the evening doing something else. Up to you.
All right, so after I eat breakfast, I sit down, layering on deck, and start reading how to the book on how to learn Elvish, and saying, if anyone has any plans or any ideas, I'm on the deck reading Elvish. Let me know so I could come up with a way. Because even though I'm not exactly, not going to fight blind. Actually, we might have no choice. But if you have anyone come up with something more better than that, please let me know. I'll be on the upper decks.
And I will then be here to answer any questions you may have. Sorry, what was that, Japan?
I asked Ty if he want help with Elvish.
Yeah, he's got like the book to read Elvish, yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading. Yeah,
Can I help him with that?
Huh?
Can you what?
Can I help him with that?
Sure. I'll say that if you essentially we're using the how-to book as the alternative to actually having a physical trainer. But I'll say that if you are assisting in helping him reinforce that, I'll say I'll say you can reduce the amount of time he has to spend learning by What's your intelligence modifier, Jimpan? 2? Yours is a +2, right? I'll say that we can take your modifier and reduce his number of work weeks by that number if you're helping him during his downtime when he's trying to learn the language.
What happened in the last 3 minutes?
Jimpan was asking if there was going to be any mechanical benefit if he was to assist Ty in learning Elvish, because as a half elf, he obviously knows Elvish. So I determined that that Ty's work week requirement would be reduced by by Jimpan's intelligence modifier, but only if Jimpan's character is with Ty during those downtime activities when he's learning Elvish. That includes all the work weeks, each 8-hour day. So essentially, you are now his.
My help.
But it would go from 9 work weeks instead to 7 work weeks. So if you and Kiri are doing it at the same rate, you will finish learning Elvish at the same time he finishes learning Draconic.
And then we could trade books, and Kiri could learn that, and
But that means any downtime activity that Jimpan would be spending would be instead spent helping you, which could eat into any downtime activity you have for a plan.
Do you want my help?
Yeah, the faster I learn this, the better.
Die.
And I said, well, your way, Kiri, that even though I don't like going in blind, we might have no choice. But if anyone has any plans, I'm on the upper deck. Let me know, and we could work on something else. Since obviously that doesn't hurt me when I'm learning a new language.
I will point out the one issue is that you don't know exactly precisely what it is that you would be doing, other than you have to make contact with some people down in Skullport that are members of the Kraken Society who will tell you the specific task they want you to take care of. The only general information you have is that they have a presence down in Skullport and they need to be removed. The specifics of where and how or what you'll be walking into, you have not been given yet because you have not gone to Skullport yet.
So
I just wanted to point that out to you guys. You have a lack of information at the moment.
Maybe our contact down there has the information we need of at least how to weaken these people, how to deal with whatever mission we're going to deal with.
Hit them until they die?
That's usually our normal tactic, but we don't know the full scope.
It's a standard MMO MMO strategy. Hit it till it dies.
With the new Criterion Dungeons to Final Fantasy 14, I was watching some of my guild plays.
Also, Jimpan, because your
dice doesn't work. Hit the dice doesn't work anymore. Your dice first.
Since you're essentially Ty's or the captain's tutor, part of the portion he would have paid that he's already paid for his training will actually go to you. So increase your gold by 50 gold. Since you're shaving 2 weeks of his 9-week time off, because he has to spend 25 gold per work week, and since you're subtracting 2 of those from him by being his tutor, that 25 for each of those 2 weeks goes to you. So you get 50 gold.
Well, technically, he just owes me less gold. Because remember,
and you can subtract 50 gold off your debt.
Yeah,
either way,
because
Ty, you spent the money for 9 work weeks. He's reducing it to 7. That means there's 50 gold just floating off in the distance there.
So she shaves off 50 gold
So
for
technically,
debt.
it would go to him, and so you could either take the gold or reduce your debt. However, you guys want to do that. I was just informing Jim Pan that technically he's 50 gold richer because of the fact that he took 2 weeks off your time.
So that's
You know, he's
whatever
gotta get
Champion wants to
something for
do.
it. Gotta get something for it. It's eats up his downtime.
I can pay the next payment. I will keep paying you, so I will take it now.
Okie dokies.
All right, here's 50 gold. Let's begin.
Okay.
But if there's any in-game discussions you guys want to have between each other, feel free to do so. If there's any questions you have with me, feel free to ask. If you guys feel that you've exhausted everything you want to do for this day, we can advance to the next day, and then so on and so forth as you guys see fit. You let me know. As the
I
session comes
can't
to a grinding
think
halt.
of an end.
Unfortunately, I can't think of anything either.
So you guys just kind of spend the day relaxing and doing your downtime activities and not worrying about heavy workloads?
We go to a bar and we carousel.
Just a normal bar, nothing cheap, but nothing as expensive as a bar I went to last night.
So not a full dive bar.
Not a full dive bar,
at
but
the end of your work day, you guys go and enjoy a nice evening
Yes.
at the tavern.
Yes, and I will drink.
Are you looking at, let's see, here are the different levels of quality. We got squalid, poor, modest, comfortable, wealthy, and aristocratic.
What's the upper middle class?
That'd be a toss-up between modest and comfortable.
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 It's a high end.
I'm like, dude, I just been to a high-end bar. The drink is worth it, but it's also expensive.
Here, let me see. Lifestyle expenses. Other expenses rise to the cost of living in a fancy world. They cover your accommodations, food and drink, and all other necessities. Furthermore, expenses cover costs of maintaining equipment so you can be ready when adventure next calls. Start of each week or month, your choice. Choose a lifestyle from the expenses table and pay the price to sustain that lifestyle. Prices listed are per day, so if you wish to calculate the cost of your chosen lifestyle over a 30-day period, multiply by 30. Your lifestyle might change from one period to the next based on the funds you have at your disposal, or you might maintain the same lifestyle throughout the character's career. So choices can have consequences. Maintaining a lifestyle might help you make contacts with the rich and powerful, though you run the risk of attracting thieves. Likewise, living fraudulently might help you avoid criminals, but are unlikely to make powerful connections. Here's like a breakdown of like what each of these levels mean, just so we're all aware. Now, what I was reading did not include wretched, which is I'll read in a moment. But essentially, I have prices for like per day in stay or like per day of meals and whatnot, based on like prices, or it tells me like prices. So like spending like a day at like a really fancy, comfortable inn would be more expensive than like a really poor inn, etc. Or aristocratic inn would be like really expensive, etc., etc. These particular things are describing specific lifestyles of these qualities. That includes like inn stays, meals, etc. But these will give you an idea of what it means when I ask, is your meal comfortable, modest, wealthy, etc. Start with wretched. Wretched, you live in inhumane conditions. With no place to call home, you shelter wherever you can, sneaking into barns, huddling in old crates, and relying on the good graces of people better off than you. A wretched lifestyle presents abundant dangers. Violence, disease, and hunger follow you wherever you go. Other wretched people covet your armor, weapons, and adventuring gear, which represent a fortune by their standards. You are beneath the notice of most people. Essentially, you are the murder hobo. You guys do not live a wretched lifestyle, obviously. You guys have a ship that you live on, which is generally covers any kind of lifestyle expenses other than like when you guys leave the ship to go buy meals. I would probably say you guys may be at a modest lifestyle on a regular basis if you just live on the ship. Next one up from wretched is squalid. You live in a leaky stable, a mud-floored hut just outside town, or a vermin-infested boarding house in the worst part of town. You have shelter from the elements, but you live in a desperate and often violent environment, in places rife with disease, hunger, and misfortune. You are beneath the nose of most people, and you have few legal protections. Most people at this lifestyle level have suffered some terrible setback. They might be disturbed, marked as exiles, or suffer from disease. In other words, like, you are just slightly higher than living on the fucking streets. Or might actually be living on the streets, you know that. Oh, no. You're slightly higher than living on the streets. Wretched is you are absolutely living on the fucking streets. Like, you crawl into, like, fucking sewer gutters and shit. But squalid, like, you live at, like, a flop house and shit. Poor. A poor lifestyle means going without the comforts available in a stable community. Simple food and lodgings, threadbare clothing, and unpredictable conditions result in a sufficient, though probably unpleasant, experience. Your accommodations might be a room in a flop house or in the common room above a tavern. You benefit from some legal protections, but you still have to contend with violence, crime, and disease. People at this lifestyle level tend to be unskilled laborers, costermongers, peddlers, thieves, mercenaries, and other disreputable types. This is what you guys would be as pirates if you didn't have fucking loads of money. You're just like blow all the time because you guys are kind of rich. Modest. A modest lifestyle keeps you out of the slums and ensures that you can maintain your equipment. Live in an older part of town, renting a room in a boarding house, an inn, or a temple. You don't go hungry or thirsty, and your living conditions are clean, if simple. Ordinary people live modest lifestyles, including soldiers with families, laborers, students, priests, hedge witchers, and the like. Living on your ship, I would probably say you guys live a fairly modest lifestyle. Like, it's not luxuriously expensive, but the ship is clean. It's, you know, it's good, dry, clean conditions. Next one up for modest is comfortable. Choosing a comfortable lifestyle means that you can afford nicer clothing and can easily maintain your equipment. You live in a small cottage in a middle-class neighborhood or a private room in a fine inn. You associate with merchants, skilled tradespeople, and military officers. You guys have enough money to live comfortably. Off the ship, obviously.
Yeah,
on the ship, it's hard to live comfortably on
the
a
ship,
essentially warship. Your ship's made for combat.
But obviously, that's why we're investing in buying an inn so that we actually could get some cash flow going.
I mean, like, you guys have cash flow. Like,
Yeah, I know.
you guys have money. I was simply pointing out, like, even with your funds, just on a ship, like a pirate ship, I would say you would be classified as modest. But you guys have the money. You have the money to afford living comfortably off the ship. So, like, you can rent, like, nice rooms and get good meals and not eat, like, the standard bland fare that is usually served, with the exception of every once in a while just so those some extra nice spices. But you can't have your meals too rich because then you'll end up just throwing them up later on the rocking sea. So they try to keep it bland. The food generally tends to be bland and not too rich and easily stored for long periods of time that don't spoil. Wealthy. Choosing a wealthy lifestyle means living a life of luxury, though you might not have achieved the social status associated with the old money of nobility or royalty. You live a lifestyle comparable to that of a highly successful merchant, a favorite servant of the royalty, or the owner of a few small businesses. You have respectable lodgings, usually a spacious home in a good part of town, or a comfortable suite at a fine inn. You likely have a small staff of servants. And the final one, aristocratic. You live a life of plenty and comfort. You move in circles populated by the most powerful people in the community. You have excellent lodgings, perhaps a townhouse in the nicest part of town or rooms in the finest inn. You dine at the best restaurants, retain the most skilled and fashionable tailor, and have servants attending to your every need. You receive invitations to social gatherings of the rich and powerful, and spend evenings in the company of politicians, guild leaders, high priests, and nobility. You must also contend with the highest levels of deceit and treachery. The wealthier you are, the greater the chance you will be drawn into political intrigues as a pawn or a participant. None of you live at that lifestyle. That's like blue blood lifestyle. You guys are rich, but you're not. You guys have money, but you don't have that much damn money. While you're out at sea, I would classify your lifestyle as modest. Here in town, you have more than enough money to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Now, what all that boils down to is modest meals per day is 3 silver. Comfortable is 5 silver. So 2 silver difference, but modest is fulfilling, but most of it would be bland. Whereas comfortable, pretty good food. Not the most luxurious and most expensive food, but it's like an upgrade from like McDonald's burgers to like Olive Garden. It would be like the difference. It's like going from a fast food restaurant to like a nice sit down restaurant, but not overly fancy. No dress code required. Would be like how I could best summarize the differences. So, whichever one you're spending, go ahead and mark that money off your thing. Either 3 silver or 5 silver, unless you guys want to really overindulge and spend a lot more money, in which case I can tell you the prices of those.
No, 5 silver is fine.
Ty, do you speak for everyone?
No, I meant for myself.
I feel like Jim Penn and I are just making weird faces at each other now.
Well, remember, Jim Penn wants a high-class lifestyle, so you might want to write off those
a lifestyle he can afford. That's on him. Like, Jim Penn's character always makes me think of Nora from Firefly. So Arkansas Foreign probably lives slightly nicer than the rest of you. She maintains better clothing and maintains a better basis of wealth. She was also prettier than you guys, so maybe she can get away with more things.
But yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure a bird and a half orc isn't exactly what people call pretty. Well, a half orc male.
I mean, that depends on your standards of beauty. Not everyone has the same standards. Like, if you walked into a society that had more half orcs in it, some of them might think you're handsome.
That is true.
Like, you're in a predominantly human, but a wide variety of other races do live in Waterdeep. So some people may think you look weird or creepy or terrifying. Others may be like, hey, he looks pretty badass. But he's a pretty strong arm. I can see how he could become a captain of the ship, even though he's only a half orc. Racism is still bound. People are a little bit more open-minded here in Waterdeep, but some of them are still like, I can see how he can... he looks strong. I can see how he owns his own fucking ship with his own crew. He seems like a good hand. Or other people would be like, "Ooh, those tusks look super hot. I wonder how he is as a kisser." Shit like that. Like, everyone has their own standards.
Oh boy!
Not everybody describes the same standards of beauty.
That's true. But anyway,
some people think like goblins and like ogres look cute.
But anyway, I'm going to a comfortable end this time.
Yeah. Which is better than like the standard fare you guys typically eat while you're out at sea, which is like hardtack and gruel. Things that don't sit too heavily and are too rich in your stomach, because the last thing you need is half the crew to be going over the side of the ship because you ate like something really rich, like a chocolate velvet cake or something.
Especially during a ship fight or Or
Yeah, you don't need people suffering from like queasiness if you're about to go raid some fucking ship because you're a bunch of dirty ass pirates.
Like,
So just really tries to keep the
just
food
because we're
not too
about to go into business, just doesn't mean we haven't forgotten our roots.
exactly, of course. Now that being said, other than that, I assume nothing else happens during this day, gentlemen.
Not really, unless something happens. I'm pretty sure.
I have nothing planned for you.
Like, I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna take another lay home for the night and call it the night and call it a day. Another lay of the night and then call it a day.
No Kadoki's. The 13th day of Mar Parnell.
So what was the price?
Say again?
The price?
Supplies? Your bosun
The
takes
price. The price for...
Oh, the prices? Oh, sorry. Where did I? There it is. For meals, modest is 5 silver. Comfortable is. Sorry, those are insects. Modest is 3 silver. Comfortable is 5 silver. Wealthy is 8 silver, and then aristocratic is 2 gold.
I want to pay that 2 gold.
Oh, that means you are definitely eating at a different restaurant because the restaurant the other guys went to don't have the quality of food to afford an aristocratic meal. So you went to a different inn. This one absolutely has a fucking dress code, but they don't tell you what the dress code is. You're expected to figure it out because that's what people at this level of society know. It's what the latest fashion. Like this is like a 5-star restaurant is what would sell an aristocratic meal. So like other nobles are here, and they're here to be seen having meals. Yeah, like this is like I said, this is like a 5-star restaurant that only like the most wealthy of noble elite go to, and like you hear various conversations of politics, economics, government stuff. The things that like rich fuckers fucking talk about all the time. That usual bullshit. Give me a straight charisma roll, Marcus and Farn.
It. Charisma. 23.
You make an entrance. You make a scene. You are noticed. You are wearing, I assume, one of your nicest gowns. Your hair is immaculately well done. You turn heads. You hear a few husbands get scolded by their wives for staring slightly longer than what would be considered appropriate. And you hear, as you walk past, you hear a few dropped wine glasses. Not a lot, just a couple. Some people, you hear the splash of wine as some people are like in the middle of pouring wine and over pour in the cup, or they actually tip it slightly too far over as they're too busy watching you. From some of the younger men, the ones that don't have wives to scold them, nor the presence of mind to keep their hormones in check for slightly too long. Some of them, of course, recover quickly enough. They were raised to be of noble born. They were raised as nobles. They were raised to act in a certain standard. So you don't hear like cat calls or like whistles after you. No. You're not in that kind of place. No. Nobody would dare to do that. The impropriety would destroy them. It would destroy their reputation. It would be disgraced immediately if they were to lower themselves in such vulgar, commoner activities. But you definitely turn a lot of heads. And there are a couple of individuals that you do see and recognize, because this is the kind of place that many nobles go to, including visiting nobles. You see the Duchess, Sophia Casimir, with the Countess, Margot Dumont. You don't immediately see their escorts, though. They are not in the immediate sight. This is the kind of place to where, while you may have physical protection, they're not to be seen. At least not in the dining area. They may be somewhere nearby, but they're not like hovering over them. This is not that kind of place. And they, of course, immediately recognize you, and they say, Arkadislan Foreign, how good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
And the Countess goes, Rhoda, come sit at that table. Come.
I'll do that.
She goes, wait a third chair, please. A third chair. There was only originally 2 chairs. A third one is brought immediately, and then your table is set, wine glass. They wait for you to exchange your pleasantries with your companions before they politely ask you what you would like to eat. They bring you that meal. You're, of course, giving you drinks. And you spend a lovely evening with a vampire and a half-dragon. Or a dragon blood sorcerer. Sorceress. And that is where we can end the scene, unless you wish to have any specific conversation with the 2 noble ladies.
Nothing special, just talking about what they're talking about.
Standard, like, dinner conversation.
Yeah.
Evening goes by very well. One second. I need to check something. Make me a wisdom saving throw, please.
$17.
Cool. You are not charmed by the vampire. You are not charmed by the Duchess, who would have absolutely had you charmed and made you more pliable with the idea of her drinking you. But when she sees that it does not take hold, she does not make that advance.
I will not try to stop them if they tried.
Yeah. She doesn't make the attempt to try to bite you or convince you, because she recognizes that you did not fall under the sway of her hypnotic gaze.
I know.
So she finds someone else to feed on that evening.
But did I know that she tried?
You felt the presence of her. You felt something pushing against your mind. You felt you felt like the hypnotic influence of her pushing on you, but it wasn't like hostile. It was more like it's more like when you drink and the drink. And like when you drink a lot of alcohol and your inhibitions, the alcohol tries to lower your inhibitions. You felt like something like that, but more of a hypnotically magical effect, more than like a lot of drinks. So you know she tried to influence you, but not like in a hostile manner.
I say
like she was trying to convince you, like, "Hey, drugs are fine. Do drugs."
I say
invite you.
You only have to ask.
You what?
You only have to ask if you want.
She goes, "Oh, most people aren't as into it, but if you are," you see her fangs click out. She goes, "Then I'm sure this evening can get much more interesting."
Yeah. Wink, wink.
Yeah. And then we fade to black. You may believe whatever you wish happened that evening. I will make the statement that she does not physically have sex or sleep with you. She will, of course, bite the shit out of you and drink some of your blood. The effects The effects of a vampire's bite is temporary, so I'm not going to bother doing the mechanics of it and rolling it, because by the time it would matter, you would have already had a long rest and the effects would have been gone.
So
But generally, what would happen is your maximum hit points would be reduced based on the amount of necrotic damage the bite does when she bites you, and then she would heal herself by that amount, and then there'd be some piercing damage involved.
So welcome to Vampire. Welcome to Vampire Take It Back Out of Your Nut Club. Have fun.
Yeah. Technically, she's fed on all of you by this point. She's been on the ship long enough to where she's either drank the blood up or directly fed upon almost everybody on the crew. Between her and the other vampire. But due to the fact that she does like you guys, or at the very least doesn't wish to sour the relationship between you guys, she either charms people to make them feel more comfortable around her, or she goes for people that are more willing subjects. She does not forcibly drink from anybody, or at least none that you have seen. Rather, she has never forcibly drank from any member of the ship. You did see that she will forcibly drink from people if she is fighting them or they are hostile, such as those Rithians. Who she fucking snapped their spines and then drank their ass like a fucking blood pack. Or like a fucking shit, what's it called? Juice box, there we go. Like those little juice boxes. Like she just stabbed a fucking straw in it. Drain them fucking dry. Because if the vampire bite reduces your maximum hit points all the way down to 0, you will actually like die outright. And if you're buried in like a graveyard and some other junk happens, you can become a vampire. You become a vampire spawn under control of the vampire that drains you. If they're a full vampire, not a vampire spawn. Vampire spawns don't do that. Vampire spawns just outright kill you. They cannot create a spawn if they themselves are a spawn. So like Katya cannot turn you to a vampire, but Sophia absolutely fucking can. Now, we go to the next day. It is the 13th day of Marpenoth, the 5th day that you paid for. Is it safe to assume that you guys are going to do something similar to what you did the day before?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
But this time, since this is the last day before, no, the next and last day. Like the last
leave that tomorrow evening instead of the day after the morning.
Tomorrow. I'm about to say tomorrow evening.
I get the difference of like when you pay the harbor master, you get a day and an evening. If you only paid for just the day, you have to leave like at the crack of dawn the next day, so that part of the dock is open for any ships coming in that morning. If you didn't pay for that day as well, so you either have to leave on the evening of day 6 or the very morning of day 7.
All right, so my original plan then, since this is the last evening that we're all going to be out before I have to pack up ship and prepare to set sail tomorrow.
Well, this is the 5th day. You still have all day. You have all this day, the evening, night, and day of number 6. Tomorrow is the last evening.
All right, so in that case, we're going to do the same thing as we do yesterday. Just study some Draconic. Study some Elven, and then go to a comfortable bar.
All right. Go ahead and mark off your various things for your learning of what Schmadoodles, as well as the prices that you spend on those things. And we awaken on the day of the 14th day of Marpenoth, the last day you paid for. It must be gone either by this evening or tomorrow morning.
I assume most of our crewmates are going to come back to the ship.
throughout this day, the 14th day, all members of your crew eventually do make it back. Not all at the same time. Some show up that morning. Some show up in the middle of the day around lunch. Some arrive just before sunset. Because that's like before like sunset is like their cutoff time, where it's like you are either to report by this time or there's no guarantee the ship will still be here when you get back, kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
All right. And
because they're expected to be there the day before the morning of your departure.
And as the current board, I'll inform them of what happened and what's going to go on.
These are your officers, not the entire crew, or are you telling
my officers, and then the office will tell the rest of the crew.
Question: is this information to be disseminated to the crew by your officers, or is it to be kept only in the upper brass? Senior officers.
Okay. And the senior officers will get the full scope of what happened, and then all
of you. You guys are the senior officers. Junior officers are your retainers that are of an officer position, and then your deckhands are like below that.
And okay, obviously the senior officer knows everything. The junior officer knows enough, and then like the deckhands know like the very, very basics.
Well, my question was the information you give to the officers, are they supposed to keep that to themselves or disseminate that to the rest of the crew?
Disseminate that to
the crew understands the itinerary of
disseminate that to crew and very basic sort of thing, so therefore they have the full scope of what's going on and panic.
I mean, these are hardened pirates by this point. They don't panic just because you say we're going to Skullport. That's a well-known pirate town.
And then the
only law that exists down there is the law of who is strong enough to enforce what they want. Because that place is run by pirates, thieves guilds, smugglers, murderers.
All right, and then the final thing, Arcanist, you want to join me out on night of one of the most fanciest restaurants in the city before we got to go to war. Since they have to go to war in a few weeks, I'll pay.
Sure.
After sunset, a carriage has arrived with the Duchess and Lady Katya in tow. Since obviously they can't arrive tomorrow morning.
The Duchess. How good to see you. Obviously by them dressed in my fancy outfit to go out for dinner.
She says, "Good evening to you, Captain. I see you are dressed to go somewhere, perhaps?"
Yes, we're about to have one. Yes, me and the first mate are about to go for one last dinner at the finest restaurant in town before I do potentially go to war in a couple. Before potentially have to go to a second mission in a couple of days. I assume you received the letter?
Yes, I did. We have no problems on any delays. Obviously, just so you're aware, detours will not be covered under the expense of the ship passage.
Don't worry about it.
Good. I wanted to make sure we understood each other.
Well then, see this.
As long as my passage is still guaranteed, I see no problem with whatever detours you have. I understand you are, of course, a working ship. You're not my private luxury cruise.
Yes.
That's also why I chose your ship. It's much more interesting. More adventurous. I don't get out very often, so I wanted to make a nice trip out of it.
Well, I hope
you can just see the look of Lady Katya directly behind her shoulder. She, of course, makes no motion or sign that she at all disapproves of anything Lady Katya says. But you do see a slumping of the shoulders of of a servant who's I wish my mistress had picked a better form of travel and wasn't like the I want to go on an adventure type, and you'd be like, so I would not have to be putting up with this, but this is my life now.
Oh,
You see like the sign of like a very tired worker. Not physically exhausted, just like mentally like I am super done with this trip and everyone on this ship I despise. I wish we were not here. I hate this. I hate this. I hate everything about this. This is terrible. That's the kind of vibe you get off of Lady Katja. She's just like, I don't like any of this. I don't like any of you. I don't like this trip. I don't like that we chose the slowest, most annoying form of travel. There are so many better ways. Why are we doing this? Damn it.
hopefully he doesn't try to kill us in the middle of the night.
What?
Hopefully he doesn't try to kill us in the middle of the night, but anyway.
She would never dare to go against any directions given to her by her vampire mistress, who is not only in charge of her from a societal standpoint, but also from a magical binding contract that is, I am the vampire master, you are the spawn I created, you are compelled to do as I command. And she has been given explicit orders that she's not allowed to kill any of you until told otherwise. With the exception of very specific circumstance, which none of you have ever committed yet. Ooh, she really wishes that you would do so. She is not a huge fan of any of you. And so far she has not made that much of a secret of how much she does not like you, especially you, Captain. She really doesn't like you. For whatever reason, she really doesn't like you. You ever asked why? But it is what it is.
But anyway, I just bid her farewell, like, and we'll see you tomorrow evening. Then we will see you tomorrow evening.
Yes, of course.
And we go out to...
It's onto the ship, and they go to their quarters that you've made arrangements for them to have.
And we will go to a nice, fancy, nice, high-class aristocrat restaurant for one last night of town.
Japan, I'm not going to have you roll because you've already rolled to make a good impression on the people in this place.
Oh, God.
Captain, I very much need you to make me a straight charisma check, please. I will say with advantage because you have this hot number on your arm, I assume. You are escorting the lady.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's going to be shitty rolls. Let me just...
Well, it was advantage because Mr. I rolled a fucking 23 on first impressions when I came to the same place before is next to you or was attending with you. Good thing you had advantage.
That's a good thing, too. Or else I'll
With
be
a 20, you definitely make a good impression as you walk in. Both of you notice there's a lot of eyes on you. You hear various whispers. Your passive perception does pick up a few of them because not all of them are being super careful about not being heard. Some of these are whispers to not be heard, and some are whispers that are meant to carry across the room because they're barbs. They're verbal barbs to snag on you and irritate you. You hear things like, what's a half-orc doing here? And you hear jealousy of like, how in the hell, how did that get her to come with him? A lot of jealousy. You see a lot of young men who are like, you see like contemplating like, should I duel him? Would I win? Could I win her hand? A lot of them come to the conclusion of, No, that's a big fucking dude who very obviously looks very comfortable with the sword at his hip because obviously you're still armed. There's ways to wear weaponry and still be in a fancy place. They don't ever disarm you. You're not the only people that have a sword at their hip. Many of them, almost everybody has at least a dagger. Many of which have swords. Because as well as like nobility, you also see like high-ranking military personnel here, like naval. You see like a couple admirals, or like admirals or majors and stuff like that, like the upper ranks of like the Water Deviant Armada and other seamen here. Many of the people who hold those ranks are also of nobles, of like noble blood. There's a lot of nobles join the military as a way to increase their reputation. Actually, wait, no, I have better ambience. I have better ambience for this one since it's a much fancier restaurant.
Oh boy. I looked at the menu and leave the guy a nice tip.
But you also hear. Hold on, I didn't get the right one. Is this what I want? But you hear a lot of people say, like, you know, the first few things you hear is people wondering, why did a servant come here? Isn't that girl from the other evening? What is she doing with that guy? Wait a minute. He's wearing a captain's uniform. Is he part of the Navy? No. He must be a private captain. Is he a merchant? He must be a really wealthy merchant to afford to come to this place. How did a half-orc afford such fine clothing to afford to dine here? Like, you hear a lot of very, very racially judgmental comments. But then you also hear comments of like, well, obviously he's supposed to be here, otherwise he wouldn't have walked to the door. Only people who are supposed to be here would actually come in here. They would have been stopped at the door if they didn't belong. And, well, he has to have something, either money or some other stellar part of him for someone of that gorgeous looks to be on his arm. And you also hear a few people make comments on like, well, he's certainly very well dressed. I wonder where he got that coat. Because you still rolled a fucking 20. So you leave a good impression that no one dares to have the audacity to call you out or to challenge you. Because you walked in and you fucking own this fucking room. No one is wants to risk damaging their own reputation by attempting to challenge you because of the just immediate presence that you bestowed when you walked in. But you will notice that there are no other half-orcs in here. There are definitely no orcs. Nobody a full-blood orc. There are, you see primarily humans, elves, a few half-elves, even a couple of dwarves. Not very many, but a couple.
I just shrugged my shoulders like, the best thing, sometimes the best thing to do is stand out. To be an individual, if you will. Now, shall we enjoy the drink, lovely lady?
Yeah.
Do you mingle amongst the people?
A little bit.
This is very much like this is both like a restaurant where you sit down and you enjoy a meal, but there's also like a smoking evening lounge where you can drink like teas and wine and smoke expensive cigars and shit like that. You know, like not a gentleman's club because there are also women there, but like a noble lounge, like a smoking lounge, where both men and women sit in like nice comfortable chairs around like the fire because it is a very cold evening around the fires and talk. Like there's a lot of groups spread throughout the entirety of the building where people are having various discussions. So my question is, do the two of you keep to yourselves or do you mingle with the populace?
That would be up to Jim Pan's character. Since since this is more of his.
This is more of her scene than yours.
Yeah, this is more his environment than mine. I just want to have a nice, fancy, over-the-top meal before we get to go into battle.
I was referring to you know one thing that this is a great opportunity for the captain to make a lot of really powerful connections in the city because like the noble elite of the city are dining at this place.
You can make a lot of context if you
At the very least, you can get your name out there because you definitely made an impression. They definitely noticed you. But they don't know who you are because you've never been here before.
Then I start talking. Like, oh hello, I'm Captain Torg Harrison.
Yeah, you walk by a group of individuals that are... They look like they're Navy men. And you see, like, many of them are in their nice, like, dress blues, so to speak. They're formal Navy uniforms. And they're talking to some other individuals that are in, like, these nice, like, suits and robes and whatnot. And you have to walk by, and one of them goes, well, this fine sir is most likely a very well-off merchant, obviously. Here, come here, good sir, as they indicate to you, and goes, tell this man that the waters around the city of Waterdeep are perfectly safe and under the control of the Armada, or sorry, the Navy. We keep this place perfectly safe for merchants to do their business here, and his inferences that piracy is a problem in these waters is completely unfounded.
Like, oh yes, I had my ship parked here for a few days now. I had no problem with pirates or anything of that sort. This is one of the safest harbors I've ever been to.
Straight from a man who knows what he's talking about, clearly. I mean, look at this man. What is the name of your ship, good sir? In fact, actually, my apologies. How rude of us. I am Admiral... Great name on the fly. This is what Xanathar's Guide's really helpful for because there's a big fucking catalog of names I can use.
In my case, I use random name generator on my phone.
I don't have that kind of thing on my phone at the immediate.
It's a website.
Yeah. That's the English middle name. I'm Admiral Arnold of the Waterdevian Navy. I assume you are Captain...
Torg Harrison of the Storm.
Torg Harrison of the Stormbreaker. Oh, yes, I've seen your ship. It's a very nice ship. I saw it... Yes, I remember seeing a Stormbreaker in the harbor. Yes. When I went to go on one of my patrols, about a week ago. You've been in the port about a week. I saw you on the way in, yes. In fact, my God. You're the ship that fended off not one, but 3 Ruthian pirate raiders before you entered into the Waterdevian national waters, didn't you?
Yes.
My God. At this point, multiple people are now paying attention. Because they're like, Ruthian Raiders? What? What? Like, this here is Captain Torg Harrison of the Stormbreaker. I heard from a colleague of mine from Neverwinter that one of their naval ships responded to an attack out to the sea, where a single ship was under attack by 3 Ruthian vessels. Filthy pirates attacking a lone merchant vessel. But he says by the time they got there, everyone was already either dead or had fled.
Yes, my crew. I like to have my crew be the best of the best of the best, including my first mates, I point to Lanferin.
As it should be. Only the best should serve on such a successful ship, and clearly it has to be the best. One lone ship fending off that many, you must have excellent seamen.
Yes,
Are you perhaps not a merchant, but a privateer?
a little bit of merchandising, a little bit of privateering, just some.
I would assume you have done some privateering, dealt with some of these pirates. What city are you based out of? Just so we know who to be on the lookout for any pirate hunters out there. I assume you have some kind of pirate hunting license from one of the larger cities.
And then I can't say anything because the second I say Luskin, all my credibility goes out the window.
Well, just because you're from Luskin doesn't mean you're automatically a pirate or that you are of inferiority. It's just that Luskin, being the fact that Luskin is run by what everyone knows for a fact were once upon a time ex-pirates. Like the 5 high captains, the original 5 high captains, were ex-pirates. That is a proven fact. What's not the proven fact is that they are still technically pirates. They just are more subtle about it.
And there was what ultimately what that ultimate goal is.
But there are nobility in Luskin, like fucking the Viscountess who runs the Red Dragon Trading Company. Well, she's a noble from Mirabar. She does live in Luskin. And there are other people of upper societies in Luskin. Difference is, it's like, you're not going to find a lot of old money, no blue blood people in Luskin. There's a lot of people who are very fucking rich, but they're new money rich.
Oh, so I could say, yes, we're based in. Currently, we're based in Luskin.
Oh, that explains why your ship has such great fighting men on it. That's a tough town, I've heard.
Yes, in more ways than one.
Yes, originally founded by pirates, correct?
I believe so, yes. But I heard
one of the other individuals cuts in and is like, well, actually, Admiral. It was originally an Elven city. It's like, oh, yes, apologies. Such scholarly history escapes me. I usually pay more attention to more relevant history, such as naval warfare, of course. It was, yes, it was originally it was originally an Elven city named Illusk before it was sacked by orcs, then eventually occupied by humans, and eventually its name evolved into Luskin. Its current government was founded by those of less than original reputable reputations. But as far as we know, they have left that piracy life alive. I actually heard a rumor that the high captains of Luskin are actually attempting to get Luskin entered into the Lord's alliance. Another person goes, really? That's interesting.
That
would give them a lot of good connections, but they'd also have to hold to very high standards, such as no more piracy left in. No offense to you, dear Captain, but we know that while not everyone that sails the flag of Luskin is a pirate, there's a lot of pirates that hang out in the free port of Luskin.
And
yes, quite right.
Why do you think I want my crew to be the best of the best of the best?
Yes, I see that once you're down here in Waterdeep, you can unwind a little bit, thanks to the great power of the Waterdeepian Navy. Yes, no, quite right. Can't have any of those pesky pirates hanging out in our waters. Got to keep our merchants safe. Yeah, on the Sword Coast.
And look at Chip and realizing all this is bullshit.
Essentially, you haven't technically told them any specific lies, and it is the fact that he's definitely come across as a person who's he believes what he wants to believe.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not exactly telling lies.
No, you haven't told him a lie. You have not outright said I'm not a pirate. You said we've done a lot of things, and my crew are the best because you believe they're the best. That's why you hired them, and you're out of Luskin. They have not asked you a direct question that you had to give a direct answer to that would technically be a lie. So technically you've told no lies. I will have both of you roll a persuasion check.
Oh god.
Just to see how well liked you are throughout the evening of these conversations, because you get a lot. Because now you're pulled into a lot of conversations. That's perception. I said persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
21. Excellent.
What's your...
Wow, I'm going like shit today.
Think that
Well, I mean, we could use your original roll. We'll just take off 3 since you have a +1 instead of we'll take off 4 since you have a +1 instead of a +5 to persuasion. So instead of a 21, it is
a 15.
Yeah.
Oh.
I do some quick math. But yeah, 15.
Yeah. 20.
No.
It's 17. 17.
Yeah, it'd be 17.
17, 18, 19, 20.
It's a 17, actually.
Yeah, I forgot.
21 minus 4 is 17.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim Pan. When he said a number, I just
Okay,
assumed that he was correct and didn't math check him. But it's like a 15 or higher. That's more than good enough. You make a lot of new acquaintances. Not to the degree of major connections, but you are definitely well known by a lot of really big named individuals in Waterdeep. There's a lot of nobles and a lot of military personnel here. So the captain and first mate of the Stormbreaker is well known in Waterdeep now, at least by those who matter in society.
And I'm afraid to ask what's Kiri doing this whole time. We're sorry, Kiri.
He got real quiet for a while, so I thought he was busy with his cat or something.
Doesn't he need to leave at?
I think he had to leave at 3 or something.
Yeah, but he came back. He always said the word back a while ago.
Hey, Kiri, you still alive out there?
Kiri.
8 p.m.
Yeah, Eastern Standard Time.
I
was gonna say this is probably a good spot to call it, or at least very soon.
Yeah, because remember she has to
make life easier, Japan. I live in the same time zone. It's 1:45 in my time, so we're like an hour. We're like
Okay.
just over an hour out from from his cutoff time anyway.
Okay.
So this is probably a good or close to a good stopping point. But eventually, the evening comes to a close. Return to your ship, guys. Turn in
Like-
for the evening.
Like I'll bow to the Duchess and return back to my ship and prepare the ship out for tomorrow morning. I assume all the crews there have been updated.
Absolutely. And we'll pick up first thing in the morning of the 15th day of Marpinoff. When you guys go to Skullport, where you'll go from the City of Splendors to the City of Shadow. The opposite end of Splendor. Skullport is even more of a dangerous city than even Luskin, because unlike Luskin, they don't bother with the same level of outward appearances that like even Luskin tries to maintain, where they try to keep like they're a free port where like a lot of things that are illegal everywhere else is legal there, but the High Captain still maintain the idea of like, well, we used to be pirates, but now we run a city. They're more like mob bosses that started after building their criminal organization, started to invest in more legitimate businesses. So they've gone legit, but they're still criminal organizations. Kind of imagine like that if it's more of a government than just like a crime syndicate. Is like pretty much how Luskin is. In Skullport, it's almost complete anarchy. The only order that's maintained is the fact that if it's complete anarchy, business can't run. There needs to be some order for money, for people to make money. So crime guilds and other types of criminal entities or organizations maintain a certain level of order. But the amount of law that exists in Skullport exists only to the extension of whose territory you're in. There's a lot of big players and little players in Skullport, and it's all dangerous. Skullport is a true pirate town, even more so than Luskin.
But this is gonna be fun 2 weeks.
So I think I have a good brief description up here. Skullport, also known as the Port of Shadows, was a subterranean city located far below Waterdeep within the third level of Undermountain, known as the Sargoreth level. Rumors of the subterranean domain of villainy persisted throughout the surface world. Few of its inhabitants had any knowledge of any points of entry. Built on an ancient Netherese ruin within men's subterranean cavern, the shadowy port was a dark reflection of the City of Splendors above. Its structure was built in 3 tiers, interconnected by narrow catwalks and rickety scaffolding. Creaking houses built on stilts were haphazardly built in dense network that formed a near shanty town. Most control over day-to-day activities was managed by gangs such as the Low Fellows or the Mandible. Within a few decades, Skullport came under the domain of a being known as Xanathar and became the base of operations for his Thieves Guild. So pretty much this is like the place where all the criminals like to hang out, and it's completely run by criminals. There is no semblance of order whatsoever other than to maintain businesses. So you can find a lot of crazy shit down in Skullport. Even stuff you can't find in Luskin.
So in one case, we can actually get something that's almost impossible to find in Luskin, but because
or anywhere else that
or
doesn't
anywhere
require
else.
you to like travel to some weird places. Because it is in and of itself a weird place.
On the other hand, we gotta keep this ship running 24/7 because we could also get attacked. Wildport.
Yeah, like this is the city where like all members of your crew could walk openly without having to worry about any issues. Like they're not gonna be like goblins, ogres, half orcs, full orcs, hobgoblins, bugbears. A lot of them live in Skullport without worried about being arrested. Now, That's not to say that they're perfectly safe. They can still get their ass beat by like a random like criminal gang that decides they have money and then they're going to take it, but no more than anyone else. It's not going to be like, oh, a drow, arrest them for being a drow. Drow are evil. We live in a lawful society. Skullport's kind of like, hey, what's up? How much money you got? Feel ashamed if somebody beat your ass and took it. Better pay the toll. Better pay your protection fees. And we can keep you safe from anyone who wants to beat your ass and take your money for a fee. Because you would obviously get probably like extorted and shit. If someone thinks that you are weak enough for them to bully, essentially.
Mm.
But that's assuming if they believe you to be, weak enough for them to bully. Obviously, if you don't come across as a victim, or you don't appear as someone they can victimize, they probably won't fuck with you. Just like in Luskin. Skullport is similar to Luskin in the way it's run as essentially a free port. Especially in recent years, Luskin's getting more and more closer to like what Skullport has already done in the fact that it's like a free port. It's just the Skullport's been doing it longer, and it has things that even that it does things openly that you don't do openly in Luskin. You still keep it on the down low. Like even in Luskin, you're not going to find a shop that openly sells poisons. You'll find someone who will sell you poisons on the down low. They're more abundant and easier to find in Luskin. But in Skullport, you will literally find a shop that says Madame Audrey's Big House of Poisons and Other Deadly Things. Like that will be like something you see on the sign. And when you walk in, she'll be like, "Hey, what's up? What who are you trying to kill, and how do you want them to die? So I know what poisons to recommend you. Oh, you want them to die a slow and painful death from a poison that's tasteless, odorless, and untraceable? Cool, you want this poison." Like that's a whole shop. And you also get like less.
And now I just
human
remember the session from last week where literally Carrie and Jimpan and Seawall poison a king.
But yeah, and I think like I remember reading like some of the like notable shops was like I think one's like run by like a mummy or like hag or something like that. So you get more of the monstrous inhabitants of this world, where like most of the large cities you find are predominantly human. Most of the shop owners are going to be human, or some of the more common surface races: elves, human, dwarves, halflings, etc. Down in like Skullport, you'll find everything else. The things that aren't considered lawful society: goblins, ogres, hobgoblins, orcs, undead, stuff like that. A place that your crew would definitely feel a lot more comfortable hanging out in than in like Waterdeep, where they get a lot of stares. Well, they're not arrested for being different. They definitely is different, very different comfortableness. Where it's like, oh, we're in a place where like we step too far out of line, we get into a lot of trouble. Skullport's like, yeah, we could probably get shanked in a fucking alleyway, but at least we'll fucking know. At least we know that, and like we don't have to worry about fucking shaking the shit out of them because they came at me. Because like fuck that guy. Like both are dangerous for your crew, but one is a danger they're more familiar with because of a lot of them have backgrounds for like surviving in that kind of a dangerous environment versus like this is Waterdeep's dangerous because it's a city of law and like really nice splendor, and they have to be careful not to
Waterdeep's dangerous because it's city of law.
They have to be careful not to be noticed by people who want to murder them.
So we're literally going.
But they can more easily blend in because they also like look like everybody else.
So we're literally going to the Sea of Law to Sea of Chaos. All right.
Yeah. Waterdeep's known as the City of Splendors. Skullport's known as the Port of Shadows. It is typically described as a dark mirror of Waterdeep. So like everything you know about Waterdeep, Skullport's the opposite of. clean, lawful, high society. Dark, deadly, run down. Like, good majority of Skullport is like a shantytown. And the law is only what is enforced by criminals to maintain their interests. So the law can be different depending on what part of the city you're in, because that might be somebody else's territory. In other words, you gotta be a tough guy to survive in Skullport. Dangerous place. Just like Luskin. Granted, though, Luskin does have a form of law and order. But the difference is, law and order, Luskin is still run by essentially a criminal organization. Like, the 5 high captains were pirates. They're essentially mobsters that all agree. It's 5, like, monster godfathers that all came together and was like, we're going to all rule this city and divide it amongst ourselves, and we determine between the 5 of us how the city is run. And then their ships or their crime families control the day-to-day. So, like, the Luskin City Guards, depending on what part of the city is, depends on whose paycheck they take. You know, like, this city guard is paid by ship Rethnor, but this one's paid by ship Kurth, and this one's paid by ship Souljack, because these are the different territories they work in. They all still wear the same uniform, but it depends on who they ultimately answer to. Depends on what part of the city you're in. In Skullport, there is no such thing as a city guard. There are enforcers who, if you start shit up in someone's territory, the enforcer shows up to break your fucking leg and extort you for money. But there is no city guard. There is no police. You call for help, ain't nobody showing up. Not in Skullport. Luskin, you call for help enough times, someone might eventually show up because they're like, what the fuck's all this commotion? This better not be something my boss doesn't want happening in this area. In Skullport, cries of help and, oh God, I'm being murdered are like, I don't see anything. Or, sucks to be that guy. Anyway, I gotta go take these groceries home.
Oh boy. See you in 2 weeks.
Yep. Have a good one.
Alright.
Yep. Alright.
Bye-bye.
See you guys next week. Bye.